Laredo, take us out.
Take out.
All right! Yeah! Blast off! Take flight each and every Friday night. Join the fun and let's go off-world. Geek out with us live where the nerdiness will thrive. Buckle up and let's go off-world. Toys, comics, pop culture news, movies and so much more. Matthew, Jesse, Curtis, and Sean are your guides on this fun-filled tour. Blast off! Take flight each and every Friday night. Join the fun and let's go off-world. Let's go off-world. Let's go off-world. Hey, hey, hey! Let's go off-world tonight.
Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 7 of OffWorld. Oh, gets my blood pumping every time I hear that intro. Not only did we get to hear it, see it tonight, but we have Mr. Jeremy James DeWitt in the chat. Welcome.
It's a little more special with Jeremy in the chat. Like, you know, it's like I felt like he was singing to me.
Yep. We also got
It's always more special when you have Jeremy in the chat.
That's true.
That's why I need that special call up. We also got J Max, Steve O'Beg, other people probably, Thanos Copter. Welcome, everybody. Appreciate you.
Other people probably, I don't care.
I'm not scrolling back up. So that's who we got in the chat. Who do we got here?
Oh, right. I'm first. I'm Jesse Arnold. Hello. Hi. Welcome.
He's Jesse. I'm Curtis. Hi.
He's Jesse. He's Curtis. I'm Sean.
He's Jesse. I went the wrong way. He's Jesse. He's Curtis. He's Sean. I don't know directions. I'm just here to push buttons and have fun.
Some
And he
people
ran
go
out a
both
lot of
ways.
fun.
Steve O'Beg, welcome. He is on vacation. Enjoy your vacation. Why are you spending it with us? There's got to be better things to do.
Don't. Hey. Don't.
Oh, I mean,
Yes.
no, this is the only thing ever. Yes.
What's up, Joe?
All right. Now we got to give a special off-world welcome. So we threw out the idea of playing the Newlywed Game. That's coming later. We got me and Sean versus Jesse and Curtis to see who knows their podcasting brother from another mother better.
We got Pat Sajak, right?
We did not get Pat. His rep
Drew
when
Carey?
he returned my call. Drew Carey was busy.
Bob Barker's dead, right?
Huh?
Bob Barker's dead.
Bob Barker. Yeah, remember we tried getting into the cemetery at night and the security guard chased us off and there was the kids and the dog and everything. It was a big mess.
Okay.
Same with
I mean, I
Trebek.
guess somebody with a pulse is better than somebody dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
So barring all of that, we got the next best thing that didn't have anything to do on a Friday night. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Pete McCarthy. Welcome, Pete.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Don't forget to spay and neuter your animals.
Bam.
Hey, there we go.
Oh, I love it. I love it. How we doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'll tell you right now, man. There was a comment made backstage before we went live about how Jeremy got our podcast music out of the way so we could start doing really good shit.
Yes.
Your guys' was awesome. Like that was. I'm literally sitting here like,
yeah,
OffWorld! Like that was absolutely epic. So huge shout out to him for that. But
I have a feeling next time we listen to My Wife Is Going to Kill Me, it's going to be our theme with Pete doing My Wife Is Going to Kill Me lyrics over it.
Just me screaming random things at the top of my lungs.
I love it. All right, but so we got the Newlywed Game coming up. We've got Secret Invasion talk. We're gonna save that all the way to the end of the show, so anybody who hasn't had a chance to see it can jump off. But first, we got to start with Curtis's favorite segment where we all show off our pickups of the week, and Curtis shows how much more money he has than all the rest of us.
Thanks, UPS guy.
There you go.
Yeah,
Sorry, I forgot.
No relation. So Pete, you're next to me on the screen. So you got anything you want to show off right about?
No, I don't.
All right.
No,
We got
no, I'm good.
True Property Pete tonight. I love it.
Yes.
Nice crossover.
Yep. Pete's,
Jesse, you're
Pete's
up
daughter's getting married in October, so
next. God, is that this year already?
there you go.
yeah, crazy.
Jesse looks very confused, like he had something, but he lost it.
Wait, what are we doing?
This is like in Return of the. Wait, I can handle it. No, and he blows up from behind.
Show pickups. Do you have anything to show? Any show and
yeah.
tell?
So, I got a finally. It's not new, but it's new to me. Grisha.
Ooh.
Someone
Ooh.
put Grisha up in the Cabal, and this is one of the older ones I have been wanting. So yeah, got Grisha in this week.
That one has eluded me.
Picked up a couple of the Buzz Lightyear, like 5-inch figures from Mattel. Limited articulation, but I figured they would be. Got myself a Cosmic Fuzz Monk in the process here. So these would be some just cheap added in set pieces to go with Cosmics for dioramas at Legion's Con, and the Vizzini Carlin figure, who's a lot taller than I thought he was going to be. Again, for my mythic mythic townspeople.
His head looks really small.
I pull it off. That's disturbing to look at.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
That's it.
I did like the Fuzz Monk one. I saw that earlier this week. I thought that I think that actually works well with that body, so that's cool.
Yeah, I got the idea for using those bodies from Mark Rivera. He showed me some stuff he's working on, and I thought that was really cool. I'm trying to find my die, but I'll go do that when you guys are showing off other stuff.
Cool. Well,
I'm normally disturbed by Jeremy's toys because they're typically all junk. I'm a little disturbed that none of Jesse's figures have heads. I got all these new figures. The first thing I did was I tore the heads off of all of them.
He's not wrong.
He's Sid from Toy Story.
So I got a couple things. Normally, I'm not an inbox collector, but I got these new superpowers. They started putting these superpowers out. What about a year ago?
Yeah.
And the first ones were really crappy looking, like they were really shitty. Like they've got a Batman that just is terrible. And then they went back to the drawing board and did one that it's more like the original. It looks a lot better. And just really hit me in this nostalgia on this. So fun little story. I'll
I think
minimize myself on that real quick, but the original Batman and Robin from the original Superpowers line, I was a little bit of a douche as a kid, a little bit of an asshole.
Yep.
And
Pronounced douche.
yeah, my grandparents came to visit one year. They drove out from Ohio, came to visit, and for my birthday, they had gotten me a Dragon Walker from He-Man.
Nice.
And that would be nice, and that's how a normal kid would react. That's a present. But all I wanted that year was Batman and Robin, and I threw a fucking fit like a little shitty kid. And they felt so bad that they went and took me to the store to get the Batman and Robin, and I also got to keep the Dragon Walker and get the Batman and Robin. And I look back on that now and realize I was just such a little dick, but. Anyway, so I saw those in the store, had to pick those up, and I will be keeping those in the package just because, like I said, nostalgia reasons.
So you didn't keep the ones they gave you?
I did, but I kid, tore them up, used them, all that kind of stuff. Then now I got to show this one off. This thing is, I love this thing. It is the Crocker figure. Which is available on Big Bad Toy Store. They actually have a Big Bad Toy Store version of it. And Max Bird sells this set of soft goods that turns him into a lifeguard with a little boogie board and whistle and all that. And man, this thing is just fucking cool. It's stupid and I love it. So there's no reason to have this. It doesn't fit in with anything else I collect. But yeah, I just love that guy. So that's it. This is
I've seen a lot of pics of him around the internet lately like that, and it cracks me up every time. That is a great looking figure.
I'm just wondering how he blows his whistle. He doesn't have any lips.
I don't know. I don't know, man.
He's like Roy Kent. He just yells whistle. Like,
whistle.
He throws it at you to get your attention.
That figure is the perfect use of that Rick and Morty meme. That's just son of a bitch. I'm in.
Yeah,
you see that, and you're right. It doesn't fit into anything else anybody else has. But we're like I see that, and I'm like, I would put that on my desk at work. You know what I mean? Like that's just cool.
My wife's like, did he really come with a hand that just has a finger pointing? And I'm like, yeah, like he had like 6 hands, and that was one of them. So I had to use it, you know. So, Sean, what you got?
All right, I finally got a little something because the other week I had nothing. These were on Amazon, and I said, "What the hell?"
Oh,
there you go.
GI, Skeletor, and He-Man. The master
blow him up.
Yeah. Oops. We both blew you up at the same time and minimized you.
That's how it worked. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I finally got them. I've been eyeing them up. I'm not buying Masterverse, not buying Origins really, but these two, I was like, what the heck?
Those were the ones that were on clearance. Is that right?
The one, I think it was the He-Man was on Big Bad Toy Store for like $12 the other week or something. And I don't know what Skeletor was, but I mean, honestly, they're not like amazing, but they're fun, and that's pretty much what I'm asking for. I'm not,
nice.
I'm not expecting Mythic Legions. I'm just expecting a little bit of fun sometimes.
It's a good Jeremy DeWitt pickup. So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Deech, what do you got?
Continuing the Masterverse train rolling, and just to piss Pete off, I did pick up the Masterverse Sorceress and that deluxe Man-at-Arms, wonderful Target clearance, and a gift card. So couldn't pass them up.
I've who did I see? Chris Ferrone, I think, took that Masterverse Man-at-Arms and put like another head on it and made like a villager for Mythic Legions out of it. Actually worked pretty well.
Yeah, he's a really good figure. He's got a lot of, the alternate heads and the full armor and everything else. So there's a lot of options with this guy. But yeah, he's a pretty good figure. And this Sorceress, I actually really like this Sorceress.
Number 1 MILF.
But she's one of the best designs out of the Revelation show too. The way they updated her, but still kept her very much who she is. So
I had to put her cape on backwards so you could see the orange.
That looked pretty cool. I was struggling to get even the loops on before the show, so I got to mess with that because that upper one is tight.
Nice.
Yep.
All right.
That's what I got.
So we're going right into This Week in Theater.
This Week in Theaters. Why don't you explain to the audience what this is, Curtis, as I start sharing my screen?
All right. So Dooch is going to pull up his little handy-dandy wheel. Jesse's going to roll his dice between a 1 and 20. And we're going to pick a year. I believe we have it in there from 80 to 2000.
Yep.
And we're going to pick, whatever that year comes up. We're going to look at this week in theaters from that year and see what we would go back and watch if we were able to time travel to that week. So let's see. Jesse,
that is super fun and creative and totally not my style.
All right. Rolling the dice. That's a 4.
All right.
4.
Well, that's not gonna work on a death save, but
nope.
We need to have Jesse drop a character sheet so we can start throwing modifiers onto there.
All right,
here we go.
What we end up with
4 seconds.
The selector is over on the left side there.
1988. We are traveling.
1988. All right, let me share my screen. Okay, so we will time travel back to 1988.
While you're doing that, I'm used to being the youngest guy on the podcast. I'm not the youngest guy in this group.
Oh,
so
no.
what does 88 mean to everybody in this group? How old were you guys this week in theaters?
11 years old, I would have been.
9.
I had just turned 9.
I would have been 3.
Okay. I would have been 5. So, all right.
Yeah. You're right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. So here it is, July 14th, 1988. Let's take a look.
Oh, snap.
So we
Punch your
typically
head.
just count the top 10.
Yep.
So for all you Willow fans
Jesus.
out there, sorry, that did not make the cut. But starting from the top, we got Coming to America. Very classic. Eddie Murphy. We got Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Jesus.
We've got Big.
I don't think it was him.
License to Drive. Arthur 2 on the Rocks.
I'm not even sure what that is.
Me neither.
So,
Arthur was the movie with the rich guy that kind of he loses all his money, and they made a second movie about it. It's Dudley Moore.
okay. Yeah. Yep, okay.
If you get caught between the moon and New York
There
City.
you go.
Yeah.
He lost all his money a second time? He deserves not to have any money.
Short Circuit 2.
Oh, no disassemble.
We got Bull Durham, Crocodile Dundee, Phantasm 2.
So in
And then
1988, was everybody just running out of ideas?
There's
Okay,
a lot of-
sequel time,
lot
boys.
of sequels. A lot of sequels. And then rounding out the top 10, we've got Great Outdoors.
Oh,
One of the
man.
most classic, epic comedy duo movies in the entire
Hell yeah.
history of the world. Amazing rewatchability, amazing quotability. I can't tell you guys how many times one of my guys does something on a truck, and I go, "You got it in neutral. You got it in neutral." So,
For sure.
absolutely
So
epic.
now the rules of this is not you going back as a kid and watching this. This is you now as an adult, time traveling back. You go into the theaters. You can watch one of these 10. We'll start from the top. Dooch, what are you seeing?
Honestly, lots of great things on here, but to me, it comes down to Coming to America and The Great Outdoors, because those are movies that I have watched a million times, but obviously, being 3 years old, never got to see in the theaters. But I think I got to give it to Great Outdoors. Just that duo is amazing. The bear, it's a great movie. I can watch it anytime, so I'm going to see The Great Outdoors.
All right. Great
Jesse?
Outdoors. Pete McCarthy, what are you seeing?
I got to do The Great Outdoors, man. I have to. It's not only is it a classic movie because, again, two amazing comedy actors. It was actually one of my parents' favorite movies growing up. So I mean, I was introduced to it by them. So there's a nostalgia factor with that movie as well. And I did the exact same thing, introduced my kids to that movie. And, my son will look at me and go, no, Benny, shotgun like that ain't going to take down a bear. It's, I can't tell you how many times my wife's told me to blow it out my ass. It's just, hands down, Great Outdoors.
Cool.
Why don't you sit on a spin cycle?
Actually, we the first time we ever watched it was actually on TBS, so it was blowing out your kazoo because they had censored it. So,
God, I miss censored movies.
All right, Jesse, what are you seeing?
I gotta say, I'm going with Crocodile Dundee 2.
Wow.
Wow, that is out of left field. There was a lot of movies I expected to come out of your mouth, and that was not one of them.
For real?
Holy moly!
Really?
Or are you being sarcastic?
No,
I am not being
I'm
sarcastic.
not. No, I agree. I pegged you as a Roger Rabbit guy. That's where
I figured Roger Rabbit, like bar none. If not, I figured he was going to be Great Outdoors too. But
this does not bode well for you two in the Newlywed Game.
No, it does
No.
not.
To be fair,
on the same
I
page at all here.
did see Who Framed Roger Rabbit and The Great Outdoors while it was in theaters. I don't know if it was this week, but I did
Right.
see them.
as soon as
Crocodile
you didn't
Dundee
pick,
2.
oh, sorry, go ahead, Jesse.
No, go ahead, Pete.
As soon as you didn't say Great Outdoors, all I could think of was, and I quote, that Jesse Arnold is a crooked son of a bitch. That's the only thing I can think of.
Look, I'm not saying it's not a great movie because it is. I remember that was the first movie like in that kind of comedy genre of movies that I saw in the theaters. So that was like a defining moment for me seeing that movie.
That's awesome.
But Crocodile Dundee, just on the big screen, going to Australia, Linda Kozlowski's just freaking gorgeous. You know, I'd see that one.
Okay. I will not say Crocodile Dundee 2 because I'm not weird. I do love Great Outdoors, hilarious movie. Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the mix of, you know, real life and animated was really cool. Coming to America, I love the callback to Trading Places, but for me, I got to go License to Drive, man. I got to go with the Corys. You know, on an adventure, you know, he doesn't get his license, but he steals the car and trying to make it with Mercedes. Like, man, that's my movie right there. So,
but it's funny to look at this list to me, because if you just think about pop culture and you think about movies and how we've watched movies since 1988, there's a lot here that we have because of what we had then. You know, like you said, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, you talk about the mix of animation and live action. To the best of my knowledge, that's the first I recall ever experiencing that as a child. That wasn't a very common thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, there's some big, of course, the Corys, they're huge in pop culture. Coming to America, the cast of that, Eddie Murphy, Bull Durham was Costner, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, there's some names on this list. I mean, Tom Hanks, he's, you know, defined by big and was defined by that for a lot of years. And because of that, look at some of the amazing roles he got in the future. So
this is just
pretty,
1 week in
1
theater.
week.
Yeah.
1 week in 1988.
This is at least the second, if not third time we've gone back to 88 since we started doing this, because Big and Willow have been on this list
That's
before.
true. Yeah. Yep. I'll tell you guys something, like me and my family, we have a movie night every week. Either Saturday or Sunday, we have a meal and we watch a movie. And we got to a point where we were having a hard time finding like movies to watch. And I started using the same thing. Like we would pull up a week, like this week in theater from a certain year, and we would pick out a movie and start doing it. So you surprisingly, you go back in the past like this, you can find several good movies in a row. So Sean,
answer now?
Yep. Sean, what do you got?
I'm going to go with the movie that my mom would not let me go see in the theaters, and it was driving me crazy that year. And everybody else got to see it, but I couldn't. Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Wow. Why wouldn't she let you see
Your
it?
mom went out of all the movies?
My mom wouldn't let me go see it because Jessica Rabbit, she thought was a little too much for my 9-year-old brain to comprehend.
Wow.
Little did she know the stuff that I was already dealing with at 9. But yeah, that was like she took offense to like that. I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way line and all that. He's like, you're not seeing this. And then eventually I saw it on VHS.
It's just a patty cake.
Exactly. So
what was that?
I got to see it eventually, but I really wanted to go to the theater, so it would have been a cool way to go. I finally got to see it in the theater though.
There was a movie like I think it was either later that same year or maybe the next year where they did another where it was mixed with animation and real life, and it was a little bit more raunchy. I remember like I think Kim Basinger, Cool World.
It was Brad Pitt,
yes.
Kim Basinger,
yeah. And that one was I could see not letting kids to go see that because that was.
I wasn't supposed to see Roger Rabbit either, but my dad took me to see it because my parents were split up, and
nice.
I had to act like I hadn't seen it around my mom.
Let's go to chat right quick here. Jeremy James DeWitt said The Great Outdoors is so good, but he's got to go with Roger Rabbit. Kind of blew his mind at the time. And of course, Coming to America had great quotes. The royal penis is clean, Your Highness.
Yeah.
And
Laura says,
like, fuck you. And he's like, fuck you, dude.
Hedgehog Action is disgusted by Curtis. Thank you, Hedgehog Action, and welcome to the show.
I'm sorry, man. I love me some Corys.
He says Coming to America is easily the best movie here.
Now, we're not saying these are the best movies.
No,
we're saying that we would watch it this week in 88.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not the best movie.
Matthew Berry co-wrote Crocodile Dundee 2 or 3.
I had to look that up because I love me some Matthew Berry. It is 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Somebody's gonna have to drop a truth bomb on me or a knowledge bomb here. Who the hell's Matthew Berry?
You ever watch What We Do in the Shadows?
No.
He's a British comedian. He's fantastic.
All right.
You would probably like him.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes we'll take a look how many weeks these things were in theater. So it looks like License to Drive, Arthur, and Short Circuit, as well as Phantasm 2. That was all their first week in theater. Big was 6 weeks, still holding it number 3. Crocodile Dundee was 8. Great Outdoors was at 4 weeks in the theater at this point. So
now this is interesting because these are actually on the lower end. We've had quite a few where they're like 16 weeks, 20 weeks.
Yeah.
Like just that whole different time back then where movies were actually allowed to stay in theaters showing instead of jumping to streaming 2 weeks after they go premiere in theaters.
Well, I think it's kind of crazy too to look at how much money they're making when we're watching movies, especially since we started our nerd careers doing this podcast. We're talking in the billions with a B that these movies are making, you know. So to see, oh my gosh, $20 million, you know, Marvel's like we're ruined if we only make $20 million.
Right.
That's what we paid Robert Downey Jr. for a movie.
That better be our Thursday night takings, or else.
Right. Cool.
And apparently that's not the same Matthew Berry, so I have no idea who he's talking about.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Is it the sports writer then?
I have no idea.
What sports?
Oh, wow.
Sports ball. Go sports ball.
Sports
Yeah.
ball. People write about it.
That was This Week in Theaters.
All right. So that means it's Pete's time to shine. Pete, I'm going to hand over MC duties to you at this point.
All right. Well,
duty.
hold on. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it right.
Okay. Is he taking his pants off?
Uh-oh.
I hope he's taking his pants off.
He's putting on a tie.
No,
Oh,
don't
look
put
at
more
that.
clothes on.
Oh, fancy Pete.
I like it.
Every game show host has to have a tie.
Yeah, that is true.
And then Steve Harvey looks at it and he goes, "That's one of mine, y'all." All right.
Yeah,
So,
that's a Steve Harvey.
so I first and foremost, thank you guys so much for having me on tonight. Like I'm super pumped about this. We're gonna play a fun new twist on an old favorite, and this is the NewlyWed Game. And we so our first couple competing tonight, our first couple from Shooting the Shelf, they met while backpacking through beautiful Gary, Indiana. They shared a sleeping bag in a homeless encampment and have been together ever since. Let's hear it for Jesse Arnold and Curtis Ackerman. Their opponents this evening from the mean streets of Des Moines, Iowa, both contracted scabies in a Slipknot mosh pit, and no one is closer than two people who rub each other down with cream to kill dirt bugs. Let's hear it from Masters of Grayskull, Matthew Duch, and Sean Skvarna.
Oh, great.
So, for everybody watching and listening in the future tonight, we're going to do 3 rounds, 3 questions per round. It's going to be a little bit different than standard NewlyWed rules for the simple fact that we're going to ask the questions together. We're not going to ask anybody to leave the room and what have you. So I will start with one team. I will ask the question. Both of you will write down your answer to that question, and then I will ask one person to reveal what they thought the other one was, and vice versa. We'll go to the other team. We'll award points, and then we'll get to the end, and we'll see who wins. So simple enough.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to share my screen here. Oh, so we've got our little scoreboard. We make sure we do this right. So, all right. So we're going to go to Shooting the Shelf first. Okay. Your first question is, what was your partner's favorite toy line as a child?
So, okay, just question about the rules.
Yep.
So, are we trying to match, or he's trying to say mine and I'm trying to say his?
Yep. So you're going to write down your answer, and then I'm going to ask you what you think. So you write down your answer, and then, oh, you know what? That's a great question.
Yeah.
Yep. So what I need you to do then, Curtis, is you write down your own answer. For the question.
Well, I'm going to write my answer and he's going to guess mine.
Yep. Okay. And then I'll say, hey, Curtis, what do you think Jesse wrote? You'll say it verbally, and then he'll show his screen. Yep. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So
Good catch.
I'm writing down Curtis's.
Nope,
What I think Curtis's were.
No, you write down what your answer would be that your opponent, your teammate has to guess.
Okay.
And then you will just verbally say what you think the other person wrote down.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So each of you write down your favorite toy line as a child, and Dooch and Sean, you guys might as well go ahead and write yours down as well because you'll have the same question.
All right.
But don't answer what you think your partner's is until I call on you, so we make sure there's no hibbity dibbity.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. So Curtis, we're going to start with you because let's be honest, you're in control of everything at this point. Okay.
Okay.
What was Jesse's favorite toy line as a child?
I'm going to say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
And then Jesse, you'll show us your paper. TMNT. All right. One point for shooting the shelf. All right. So now, Jesse, what did Curtis say was his favorite toy line as a child?
This is tough. I have two that are jumping in mind, but I'm gonna go with Motu.
Curtis. All right. Look at that.
Yep.
2 points. Shooting the shelf is batting up. I'm sorry. I got to take this. I'm not Steve. I can't wear some stupid gimmick on the show.
We couldn't see it behind your. We couldn't see it behind your name tag anyway.
Yeah.
And Jeremy,
you can give it a sweet mustache ride though.
To Jeremy, I know, but Pete was so proud of what he did. I just let it go.
Oh, what did he say? Legends is what did I say? Masters of Grayskull?
Yeah.
I told you guys I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Oh, I thought he said I thought he said the mattress of Grayskull because
the mattress. Oh, I'd like to see the mattress of Grayskull.
All right, so now we're going to the Defenders of Grayskull next.
Yeah.
Matthew, what was Sean's favorite toy line as a child?
I got to go Masters of the Universe.
Let me see it, Sean. Nice. All right. And Sean, same question. What was the Dooches?
Podcast, so
that's true. Yeah.
Masters of the Universe.
All right. Look at that. We're all tied up.
Wow.
We're all tied up.
These things does not belong.
I gotta say, I never would have gone Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Jesse.
I did put that in as just in case, but yeah, Masters.
Just in case he got it wrong and you still didn't get a point. Good call.
Exactly.
So, all right, so we're going to start.
Represent.
We're going to start with Legends of Grayskull on this one. But again, all four of you write your answer down. What movie can you watch over and over and over again? I'll give you guys just a second to jot down your answers.
oof.
All right, Sean.
Right.
Matthew's sitting at home. He's got nothing to do. He's like, I'm going to watch this movie. He's seen it 1,000 times. He enjoys it every time. What movie is he watching?
Oh, shit. I thought I had to think of mine. I couldn't think of his. All right. He's going to be one. I'm going to just Clue, just because I can't think of anything else.
Oh, Sean, come on. How many?
Quest.
Yeah,
all right.
Quest.
All right, dude.
I'm bad.
What movie is Sean watching?
This is a broad one. I can think of a lot of them.
Like a broad one, like it's got broads in it.
Yeah, he loves girl on girl action, okay. Obviously. I'm gonna say Into the Spider-Verse.
All right, Sean, let me see it. Oh, did Sean freeze?
Sean's changing his answer. Hold on.
Sean looks smug and frozen.
There we go.
All right, Sean,
let's see that answer, Sean.
Sorry, my thing on connectivity issues. I have Clue.
All right.
So I should know that Sean's trying to feed me his answer the whole time.
Yeah, that was the one I had in my head because I just wrote it down, so I just threw it out there. That's my fault.
All right. Curtis, what's Jesse's go-to rewatchability movie?
I am going to say, he's mentioned it quite a few times in the past. I'm going to say Braveheart. Let's
see it, Jesse. The face tells me it's not Braveheart. The day after tomorrow.
Wow.
I would have never guessed that in a million years.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
I want to say, to be fair, I watch almost everything over and over. I have seen Braveheart probably over 100 times. So I almost put that down. But Day After Tomorrow is my, like, I don't feel good or I don't feel like being productive. That is just my put on, zone out movie.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. So, Jesse, what's Curtis putting on?
Man, this is tough. I really have no idea. But based on what I know of Curtis, I'm going with Conan.
Let's see it, Curtis. Oh, now that is a respectable answer, and that would have been right up there.
See, I think Curtis was with me. I was trying to think of like what I could watch many times that we've talked about. So
I was just going like that's to me that's the perfect movie. So
amen to that. No points awarded for that question because obviously the only right answer is The Rock.
Oh, okay.
Nice. That's a good one.
Winners, losers always whine about their best. So we'll go on to the final question of the first round. Okay. So, and we're going to be, so I'll take everybody's answers. We're going to start with shooting the shelf this time. So your partner's getting ready to make Whoopi. What song do they put on Spotify?
Oof. Now I'm saying what he would put on Spotify, and he's saying what I would.
Write down what you would put on Spotify.
Okay.
And then when I ask you the question, you tell me out loud what Jesse would put on Spotify.
Okay. Man.
But we're going to have to step it up, Curtis. I do have to work on Monday, so we're going to have to.
Oh, hey, Matt Rod, thanks for jumping in.
Okay.
And Joe, you are absolutely right. We do watch way too many movies.
All right, Curtis. So Jesse's got that special friend. It's time to get on the cushion for the Whoopi. He goes over to the he's got the 200 disc changer, from back in the day. Selects the disc, selects the track. What comes out of the speakers?
It is the tune for a wind up Jack in the Box.
That is the most literal song ever. I'm going to put this song on because I'm going to Jack in your box. Jesse, what'd you write?
I can't see it.
Question mark.
I'm going to give myself the points for that.
It could be a tough. That could be a tough one because it depends on how the mood strikes.
Yeah.
So,
Look, I'm single. It depends on the girl.
There you go. Like I said, it can be dependent. Some of these are meant to try to make you guys laugh and not make anybody win. So, all right. So Curtis looks at Darla across the room, and it's time. What song's he putting on, Jesse?
Just because I have no freaking idea. I've never thought about this. I'm just going with the first one that comes to mind. Take My Breath Away from Top Gun.
Okay. What did you put, Curtis? Marvin Gaye.
Let's get it on.
Nice.
All right. Great answers.
So
no points awarded, but great answers. All right, moving over. All right, Dooch. Sean's got that bald head all oiled up. He's ready to go. What music's he putting on?
I Will Always Love You.
Which one?
Whitney.
Okay. Well, you got those. There's two mega stars that sang that mega hit, so I just need clarification.
I only know the one, so Sean's doing Whitney.
Okay, Sean's going to go Whitney. I respect that.
All right,
Sean, show us.
It's been 2 years. We're not going to take it anymore. We're doing it.
Sean's trying to get out of a slump. I get that.
Exactly.
All right.
Sean's pitching, not catching. He's not going to
All right, Sean.
For the Dooch.
The Dooch, he's already the roofie's already kicked in.
Yep.
So the music's just for him.
I got a
Okay.
fresh cop haircut.
Yeah,
Yep.
What-
He's got the
what-
he's got the sides done. Yeah.
Yep.
What's
get his-
cop haircut gonna play?
I don't know, but I'm gonna say the electric slide because baby, it's
You know, there's a running joke on here that I hate Curtis because we're so much alike.
But realistically, that's a very reasonable answer for this. I mean, that is one of the most notorious
Yes.
baby making music out there. You know,
It is
I
true.
feel like for Matt, it should have been, the intro song for Cops.
Yeah, Inner Circle, Bad Boys.
Bad
You know,
Boys.
What you gonna do when he comes for you?
Jeremy has an idea.
all I know is you better have a plan B if the douche comes in you,
Well,
right? Because you're gonna do when it comes in you.
Apparently, Matt Rod is putting on the Waterworld soundtrack.
No, I think he was saying
Nope, it's the Waterworld soundtrack.
rewatchable. Is there even a soundtrack to that movie?
Well,
No, he's just referring to golden showers, is what Matt Rod's talking about. That's his water world.
It's what I'm gonna need to take a shower after this show.
All right. Well, we're
All right, so no
2-2.
points awarded. We're tied 2-2 at the end of the first round. So going into round number 2, each question is worth 2 points.
Ooh.
So first question, we're going to be back to you guys, the defenders of Grayskull, the protectors of Grayskull. Yeah,
Yep.
one of those.
Sure.
Everything Grayskull needs done, we do.
Yeah. So we're going to be with you guys. The question is, okay, what is your partner's favorite nerd-related podcast?
And I want to say welcome to Rick Emmert, and I'm sorry.
And by the way, the only actual answer to the last question was R. Kelly's Bump and Grind. So
No,
just putting it out
sure.
there.
I would have taken Remix to Ignition.
Oh yeah, hot and fresh out the kitchen. All right, so Sean,
yes.
it's podcast time. Dooch has got a little time. He's gonna put something on. What's his go-to nerd podcast?
He's messaged me about it a lot lately, so I'm just going to go with this, and we'll see. The Confused Breakfast podcast.
Oh, look at that!
Wow.
Oh, look at you
2
guys.
points awarded.
Wow.
All right.
Yes.
Wow.
So, all
Well,
right,
you gave the
Dooch.
points to the wrong one.
What?
You gave the points to the wrong team.
I did, didn't I?
Yep.
You got to give it to Massages.
All right. I don't know how to take points off.
pronounced
We're just gonna have to
misogynist.
remember
That's
that.
right. Just give us the points too. That's cool.
So,
That means you guys have to get this right. All right.
okay. All right. So Dooch, what's Sean's favorite go-to nerd podcast? He's alone in the vehicle, cruising down the highway.
I know, just because I'm going to go Confused Breakfast right back at him because we have been talking about it a lot lately. Oh,
Films to be
that's
buried
right.
by.
I forgot
All right.
about that one.
Yep. That one
All
amuses
right.
me.
Fair
So
enough.
it's 4-2, obviously at this point, but we're still got half this question left. So Jesse, what's Curtis's go-to podcast on the road? He's driving all the way to Mississippi to pick up Billy Beige, which is borderline human trafficking. What's he putting on the car stereo?
Euro Legion's podcast. Just kidding. My wife is gonna kill me.
Boom.
Damn right. All right. Perfect. So I'm keeping this. I'm not changing the score on the board because I had already
Sounds
given you
good.
guys the 2. All right, Curtis, what's Jesse listening to? He's got the window down. His hair is just flowing in the wind. It looks magnificent. What's he got cranking?
I think he's got to go wig pick him as well. My wife's gonna kill me.
Oh,
Come on.
Oh, what did he pick?
Euro Legions.
Critical Role.
okay.
Oh.
All right.
He does listen to
It's-
a lot of that.
It's not.
Damn
It's
it.
not mine, but I get it. They got a lot of content. They're super talented. So
What you
I-
got?
I-
One
'cause-
episode out?
My wife is gonna kill me is Sunday morning. That's going to church.
I'll give you that. All right, Question number 2 of round 3. We're going to start with shooting the shelf. Your house is on fire. Okay. Unfortunately, Steve Bisciotti is nowhere to be found, so there's nobody that can possibly put it out and save the day because he's the only real
There's
hero.
no water around.
There's no water. Okay. What's the toy? What's the one toy that your partner can get his hands on and get out of the house with and go, hey, you know what? I got this one. It sucks I lost everything, but I got this one. All right, Curtis. Jesse's called 911. He remembers all the stuff from elementary school, man. Crawl low and smoke. Get out and stay out. He's got one toy in his arms. He's out there by the mailbox waiting for the firefighters to arrive. What's he holding?
He's got his rogue statue.
No.
Oh,
Left a rogue behind?
Thistlethorn.
Oh,
And I love how he even drew the face on there. That's awesome.
man.
All right.
For sure, you
All
rogue
right.
statue.
I'm sorry.
This question becomes harder and harder the longer we collect.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Let's be honest. All right. So Curtis kicks the door down. Wife and kids are all out safe. Dogs, cats, chinchilla, hamsters safely secure in his bum. What toy is he holding?
The not Super 7 Silverhawk.
You know, my favorite toy is always the recent toy.
Wow.
Wow, that is like insta love, man. That's is
My
that love or
favorite
is that
toy
just
is the
infatuation?
one that I just opened. Oh,
But that's a great question, Jesse. I wonder if, a month from now, if that's still going to end up being his answer.
It won't. It'll be a brand new toy.
Okay. So the correct
right.
answer is whatever he just opened.
Right. There you go. All right, Dooch. Sean grabs his Motu figure of, and I can't even think of the stupid name now, so the joke's totally blown. The elephant firefighter.
Snout
Spout. And he's squirting water out of the back, and it's just not enough to put the fire out. So he drops Snout Spout, grabs a toy, and out the door he goes. What's he holding on to?
I got 2 in my mind, but I'm gonna go with his Mondo Deluxe He-Man.
Yeah.
That was the other one.
Oh.
So
Well,
close.
too bad we're not playing hand grenades.
Rager's going up there in price by the second compared to the Deluxe He-Man.
All right, Sean. Dooch, he's got his cop haircut. He's got his gun belt on. What toy has he got?
I would say it's classic Snout Spout.
Oh.
Ah!
Now, well, I want to
Show it.
We can't see it.
We can't see it.
I know. I thought Jesse was talking, so I was waiting.
Oh,
I said show it. You started to tell a story.
classic Scratch.
I'm grabbing my gray skull, baby.
Oh.
Those figures can all be replaced. That thing's shooting up in price daily.
That's true. That is true.
Well, one of those rounds we learned a lot about each other. We didn't get any points, but we had fun, right? That's important. So, all right. So now we're getting a little personal. Okay. Question 3 of round 2. It's time. You've got your song on, and you're making whoopee. What's your favorite position? And feel free, if you want to just say gentlemen, that's okay. Because sometimes gentlemen don't like to talk about it. I get that, and I respect it.
That's a cop-out answer.
Yeah, but I'm trying to remember I'm not on my show.
Yeah.
Who's writing an essay?
We got
He wants to be very descriptive with the position of the leg, Jesse.
hey, we got some artists in here, so
He's actually drawing pictures.
I'm not sure what you call this one, but the wife likes it. So, all right, Sean. So,
All right.
Dooch is getting busy. What's his position? What's his go-to?
Oh God, I'm not.
I will go with Doggy.
No, I like to get in there. I like to get her legs up over my shoulders.
All right, fair enough.
In that
All right.
Christian Bale.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Oh,
The American Psycho.
Exactly.
All right, Dooch. How's Sean getting down?
I'm thinking he's got to love the reverse cowgirl.
Yeah.
Oh, he likes looking at her though.
All
Okay.
right.
Yeah,
That's
like
close.
That should be like a half a point.
I'm gonna award 1 point for that.
Nice.
All right. Okay, Curtis.
Yep.
Jesse's doing, and Jesse means business because he grabbed that scrunchie off his wrist and he
Yep.
tied his hair up. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
he's ready to go. What's the position?
I think he's gonna try to switch hands and gain a stroke. I think he's double fisting himself.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my God.
I don't even know what to say to that. So
Can you draw a picture?
I'm not sure I want to see a picture of that. Curtis is warped.
I need to understand this.
So,
For any of you
I'm going to take that as a win because I think Curtis would have no idea. So the fact that he just went that bold onto a choice. As I said before, I'm single, so it would be anything, please.
okay.
Well-
So Curtis got dirtier than I did on the show, and that's a great answer, Jesse. That's a half a point.
All right.
All right. So Jesse, again, and I only know his wife's name, so I can actually use her name.
Yep.
But Darla's like, Curtis, it's time to take care of business. So he puts his song on, and what is Curtis doing?
I think Curtis is following in the steps of his Lord and is straight up missionary.
Missionary or super missionary?
Oh.
Sorry, Jesse.
The great thing about this question, though, is which one's bad? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'll take it. I don't care.
I'd say the answer Curtis gave is probably bad, but
Okay. All right. So this next question, we're gonna get real nasty. All right.
Oh, boy.
Question 1 of round 3. What is your brother from another mother's favorite movie property?
What is the points now? Is it still
5-5, tied up.
But I mean, how many points is round 3 worth?
This is 3 per.
3 points.
Yep.
Okay, and movie property.
Yep, favorite movie property.
And this is our final round.
This is the final round.
Ooh.
by property you mean like franchises.
Yes, that's probably a better word.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep. What movie franchise?
Shit.
All right, Jesse, you're up. What is Curtis's favorite movie franchise?
Well, based on the recent revelation that Curtis picked his favorite toy as being the one he most recently opened, I know he recently binged something that he is now focusing part of his collecting on. So, and based on his reaction here, it's probably wrong, but I'm going with Star Wars.
Step up.
Good answer. Unfortunately,
Guardians of the Galaxy. All right.
I don't know why I showed that. I wrote down his and not mine.
That's okay. Go ahead and write yours down now because I'm going to ask Curtis.
That was my problem. Was I was thinking about yours, and then I was like, "Oh shit, I got to write down mine."
Yeah, I threw one away. Is what I'm going to get from Sean.
Yeah.
And so then I had to think quickly, and yeah.
What's Jesse's favorite movie franchise, Curtis?
This one's pretty easy. He didn't even need to write it down. It's Lord of the Rings.
All right.
Yeah.
So shooting the shelf with 3 points for that question. We're going over to the Legends of Grayskull. We say Plumbers of Grayskull.
We said we handle it all. So we're
Handle it
Plumbers, Defenders, Legends, whatever.
All right. All right, Dooch. What is Sean's favorite movie franchise?
I got to go with Avengers.
Captain America. Sorry.
So
Those are too far off. I can't award any points. Sean, what's Dooch's favorite?
I'll go with Avengers on that one. Let's see what happens.
Back to the Future.
Sure.
All right.
I do love me some MCU, but they're enjoyable, but they're nowhere near the top.
All right. So we're going into question 2 of round 3, 8-5 in favor of shooting the shelf. This is the toy line that your partner talks about. Why in the hell hasn't Super 7, NECA, Vala, Four Horsemen, why haven't they made this? Why don't I have toys of this? What would your partner say? Hey man, you can pick one thing that you want to make that you want toys made of that they haven't made. What is it? Or have made very little or like very poor quality back in the day. I'll take that as well. What is your partner just hankering for? Remember to write down your answer and then put your partner's answer in your brain.
That's hard because they're making so much stuff.
Very
now.
true. But everybody's got that one thing that they're like, damn it, why, and that's the problem is because they are making so much now. You see what they're doing with some of these more obscure properties, and you're like, man, if I could just have this. All right, Sean.
I'm gonna say, and that's the hardest part. Like you said, there's so much that's already being done. But I'll say something along the lines of beasts that were on Masters of the Universe that we never had when we were kids. I don't know the proper term, but I know that's something he and I have talked about a few times, that we never got that in the original line.
Yeah, but we got in that sense in classics a little bit. But I went with another obscure property. I know we've talked about it a little, but not that much.
Mighty Max.
Mighty Max. Yes.
Good stuff. Okay. Pocket play sets, man. It's funny. We as adults have pocket play sets, and they're totally different.
Now they made those Mighty Max themed. It looks like a snake, and then you open it up, and it's
and it turns out it is a snake.
It is a snake.
All right, Dooch. What's Sean want so badly to be made?
Oh, this is tough because he's got just about everything. I'm just gonna throw out. I don't know. Tiger sharks. I don't fucking know, man. I'm sorry.
None.
All right.
There's so many out there. I can't think of any that haven't been covered.
I should have embraced my thoughts.
Right?
Yeah. Ironically, though, I was thinking tiger sharks just as a dumb answer. So there you go. But I was like, no, we already heard the announcement, so we know that's on the way. So I can't name them. So yeah.
All right, Jesse. What's Curtis just absolutely dying to get his hands on?
Battle Beasts. Remake of Battle Beasts.
Oh, that's a good answer.
Oh, well done. Man, that's another 3 points.
Yeah, Vulcan mind meld.
All right, Curtis, repay the favor. What does Jesse got to have?
It's tough. I was thinking Star Comet first, but I think that he would really like another edition, a new take on Lord of the Rings characters. I'm going to go with that.
So close.
Yeah.
Willow.
Oh,
All
yeah,
right. Yeah. So I do want to mention Kevin Dufresne said Exo Squad, and that one is very high for me. Mask, very high for me. Visionaries, very high for me. Like there's we kind of had some of those sweet spots when we were kids where we had, I mean, back when we were collecting toys as children and playing with them, there was so much out there. And like Cowboys of Moo Mesa and Street Sharks, and they're giving me my Barnyard Commandos. Yeah. I'm like, of all the things, like Food Fighters, like I'm like, I could just like, I got all these things pouring out of my head going, I'm already poverty Pete. How the hell would I ever afford all that stuff? You know,
Pete, you probably remember, what were the trolls, but they were like buff, like He-Man figures.
I have some Stone Protectors.
Stone Protectors.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I actually, when I got back into collecting, I actually picked up a couple of them. The one with the roller blades on. Oh man, so good.
I have one of them. I can't think of it now.
Is Greg just catching up with the movie talk, or is he saying that's a toy he would want?
It could be the toy, or he started watching.
I think he's just behind.
I think he's just behind. So
either that, or he's so stoned he's just now hearing that part.
Jeremy throwing out fucking skateboard smack ups. That's like a fruit roll up spinoff.
I'm not even sure what those are.
No, but I don't think Jeremy even knows.
He found one at a yard sale.
If that's what he wants, that's what he gets.
Right? Oh, yeah, no judgment. So, all right. So, 11-5. So at this point, best case scenario is we end in a tie, and we'll have to come up with a tiebreaker. But the way Dooch and Svarna are going, I don't think we're going to have to worry about that. So, last question of the night. We're going to start with shooting the shelf. If you wanted to seduce your partner and you wanted them to make whoopee, what is the drink that makes their clothes fall off? Your podcast partner, not your romantic partner.
Just checking.
Yeah. You want to get your podcast partner out of their clothes. What is the liquid that makes their clothes fall off?
No, wait, I got right my answer.
I'm writing down mine, not his.
Right.
That's the worst part, is reminding myself this. Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was I didn't really think that through. I apologize for that. That was a little confusing.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to go to the low score. All right. So the designers of Grayskull are going to field this one first. Dooch, you want to seduce Sean. What drink are you buying him at the bar?
I'm going to buy him a Yingling.
What?
Water?
Wow, you are a slut. That's
yeah.
If I'd known it was that easy, I would have saved a ton of money.
We're not going to take it was my anthem. I mean,
he didn't even like specify like Voss or some high quality water. It's like out of the I got
literally I went into the bathroom and
just spit in my mouth and call it water.
Oh, all right, Sean. What are you buying, Dooch?
Amstel Light. What the hell?
Do you pay attention to me at all?
No.
I figured that Captain Morgan spiced rum with the Sprite tastes like a cream soda. I have way too many of them, and you do whatever you want to me.
Uh-oh.
Oh. All right. So you have no chance of winning. So at this point, we're just going to let Jesse and Curtis both get them right and just kick the shit out of you. So, all right, Curtis. What's Jesse's drink of choice?
We just talked about this week, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say strawberry milk. I'm going with the strawberry milk.
Strawberry milk.
I mean, am I the only one that thought? I mean, like, I thought we were talking about alcohol.
I answered alcohol.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't think that you drank alcohol, so I went with strawberry milk.
I don't have a problem with it. I'm just too cheap to buy it.
Oh, okay.
But if you're paying, Curtis,
right?
Fine, well, let's go.
I'd rather not drink for 2 months and buy a Mythic Legion figure.
Wow,
All right.
You drink a lot less than I do. I've got bar tabs before. I was like, Jesus, that's 2 action figures that I just said. So. All right, what's Curtis's drink of choice?
Well, since we talked about it this week, I guess I got to go with chocolate milk.
First of all, I prefer strawberry over chocolate, but the correct answer was, and I probably spelled it wrong, but Jaeger bombs.
You did spell it wrong.
I never would have gotten that.
It's one of those where by the time that I feel it, I've already had 4 or 5, and then I'm fucking done.
What? So when you do a Jaeger bomb, do you do the traditional where you actually drop a shot glass into a glass? Okay.
Yeah.
Where on like the 3rd or 4th one where you like smash your teeth with a shot glass because you're too drunk to catch it. Yeah. So.
Yeah, you're like you get the first one, you don't really feel anything. Second one, you don't really feel anything. Third one, and then you're done.
And the next morning, you remember why you hate black licorice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, congratulations, shooting the shelf. You guys know each other better than the proprietors of Gray Skull.
Yep.
So,
as I predicted. So.
As you predicted.
To be fair, I've only been drunk twice and never enough for my clothes to fall off. So
we'll take care of that. Legion's Con 2023.
I'm gonna get so drunk at Legion's Con this year. I'm gonna start with my clothes off just because I don't want to lose them. You know what I love it. So, if you're gonna do it right.
Well, people will be picking them up as Legion's Con exclusives, like the Unknown One skirt.
This one still smells like him. Yeah, I farted in it. You fucking sicko. Oh,
beautiful.
Well, thank you, Pete. That was an amazing game, and we appreciate
it's a lot of fun.
Well, good. I'm glad. Like I said, that's the whole point. Like I said, thanks again for having me on, you guys, and enjoy the rest of the show. Sorry I can't stay, but my son's been bugging me to watch Secret Invasion, and we just haven't been able to pin down the time to do it. And so I'm gonna keep that fresh for him and I. But enjoy your weekend, and you guys don't forget if you have something severely wrong with you, check out the Mother's Gonna Kill Me podcast on Sunday mornings.
And no Steve this Sunday. So
it's gonna be another good show.
Dose of Pete.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I hope you talk about D&D and you're loud. So that would be amazing.
Yeah, what's super funny is, and I wanted to tell more of the story, but obviously Steve doesn't care. But there's going to be we had some great conversations via text today, and we are going to make something happen. Screw Steve Bisciotti. I'm gonna become the next Curtis and just start in like a bad venereal disease. Just start infiltrating all of your guys' stuff. And,
I love it.
Go ahead, take the Valtrex. I'm not going away. So, awesome.
I would like to put in a request for Sunday. I would really like to see my 2 favorite Petes are Vacation Pete and Pipin' Pete. Either one of those 2 would be excellent. I know you probably don't have a vacation scheduled too late to do it, but a nice Pipin' Pete would be really nice.
So I actually ordered a like actual legit wooden style pipe that accepts vape cartridges, so I could actually just hit my vaporizer.
Nice.
And it never showed up. Well, the company went out of business, so they ended up refunding me my money. But I haven't thought about it again. I got to look and try to find another one of those, because I just that was just fun, man. I like it.
Good shtick.
Right.
Well, thanks a lot, Pete. It was a lot of fun.
Classy. Yes,
thank you very much, again,
Pete.
guys.
Yeah.
Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Greg also says Jesse challenge accepted, so we're gonna have some help here coming. Legion.
No. Look, you.
And he does
You weren't
warn
there, Dooch, but
not
you
to
guys
eat.
saw what happened to me at the end of last Legion's Con.
And he was sober.
So we're not counter-correcting that by giving me a lot of stuff I shouldn't be eating or drinking.
We're just trying to get your clothes off, man. Like that.
No.
We'll see.
I mean, it's going to come down to assault at that point to get my clothes off.
I want to take your clothes off.
And Kevin was watching Lilo and Stitch with the boys. Another excellent movie, one of my wife's favorites.
All right.
Never have I ever. Jesse, this was yours. What did you throw at us last
I
time?
chose the Cameron Crowe. See, I don't need to drink. The Cameron Crowe
Curtis
classic.
Nakerman?
Elizabethtown, starring Orlando Bloom and Kirsten Dunst.
And I don't think any of us had seen it, correct?
No, we had not.
Okay. I'm going to go first here. Jesse, I tried my hardest to make it through this movie. I started it like 7 times. The farthest I got was when he gets to town and like the memorial that they're doing, even though none of his family is there. And I couldn't make it through.
So like 10 minutes into the movie.
It's a little bit longer than that, but yes, it wasn't. I agree. It was just hitting a lot of those late 90s tropes to me with the the one big, work is like one big thing and that's it and my life's over, and then that Kirsten Dunst playing that kind of character just bugs me, and it was definitely a lot on me. I could not get into it, so I apologize.
Okay,
but I could not finish watching it. It's like I get what they were going for, but it just didn't click with me. And then like the parts that I did see, like he gets called when he's going to commit suicide, right? And his sister needs him to go get his dad's body, but then like as the second he gets to town, she's calling him and saying he needs to get home because of their mom. I'm like, this doesn't even make sense to me. I'm like, where he is and what he's doing.
And do you not have a sister?
Well, yeah, but she was better than that when my mom passed. So, I mean...
Oh, come on. Don't make this too real.
I did. I'm just saying. Even story-wise, I just couldn't get in. It made no sense. And then, like, from what I understood, the mom and dad were still married. But, like, the whole town's basically got him almost in the ground when, like, his wife hasn't even shown up. Like, it was just... And maybe some of that would have been solved if I kept watching it, but I'm just like, I can't get into this.
Pretty much all of that would have been solved if you...
Okay. So I look forward to hearing it from Curtis and Sean.
Sean, you want to go or you want me?
You can go. I'll go third.
Okay. It was a rough start. It was slow. The movie overall was, I felt like, very predictable. There were no surprises. It is what it is. It's kind of a romantic, kind of movie. But I did like the turn at the end when he kind of realizes what he has to live for. That's nice. It was predictable, but it was nice. What I will say, though, is by not watching the rest of the movie, by not forcing himself to watch the rest of the movie, Dooch missed out on one of the greatest scenes that I've ever seen in a movie, which is when the band is playing towards the end, and they're just rocking out, and then the fire starts, and then the sprinklers hit, and everybody's running around, and and it's just pouring down on everybody, and the band just keeps playing, and they're just like, we're just gonna keep playing. It doesn't matter. Like seriously, at one point I was like, fuck, the whole hotel or whatever is the room is gonna burn down, and these people are all gonna die. Like, I thought the people were gonna die in the movie, and the band's just like, fuck it, we're just gonna keep playing, and I loved that. So yeah, that part of the movie was worth the price of admission for that alone. The rest of the movie, like I said, a little slow, a little predictable. But I tell you what, if you got an amazing part of the movie like that, I'll watch 2 hours of the other stuff to get to that any day of the week. So.
So I actually got to watch it with Jesse because he invited me over to check it out, and I did talk to him a bit about it. But overall thoughts, it was like Cameron Crowe is that kind of a filmmaker where this is like his bread and butter kind of a movie. It always has that. The protagonist typically is a man, and typically he's so hung up on one thing that's what makes him the flawed character in that way. And in Orlando Bloom's case, he loses a job. His job was working for a sneaker company, and they lost $1 billion because of the design that he came up with over the B, and Alec Baldwin being the guy who's explaining it to him. And I'm like, I looked at Jesse, I go, this is how he got the job on 30 Rock, right? You might as well just him being the boss was very much like 30 Rock.
Did they ever explain why the shoe was such an abysmal failure? Because that bothered me too. That they're all like, it's terrible, but no one actually ever said like what, like it blows up when people walk.
Did you see the shoe?
Yeah, it looked like those Skechers that they came out with
let's
5 years ago.
Let Sean finish his thoughts before we dive into that.
Sorry.
So and the thing is, like the Kirsten Dunst aspect. I remember saying to him, I'm like, this is so many girls I met when I was single, and how every single one would do that. I like you, but I like you as a friend. And I love that kept being played out with him for a lot of it, because I'm like, that felt legit. And then when they hook up, I'm like, well, that's not legit then. It didn't work for me. The band playing Freebird was hysterical. The fact that they used the bird and that bird caught on fire, like Curtis said, that part had me laughing. And the fact it took people at least, at least a minute or two into the bird flying around on fire before they actually started like getting up and leaving. They didn't even know what the hell was going on through half of that thing. And
it was like it was part of the show. Yeah,
exactly. And it's like, it's literally on fire. There's other things that are catching on fire, but you're still sitting at the table. What the hell is wrong with you people? And Susan Sarandon gives a speech about the dad in that scene that actually was pretty fun to listen to, with her trying to find herself after his death and all that. And then for me, I think the part that I liked quite a lot was the road trip at the end.
Yep.
So Kirsten Dunst, she gives him this she gives him a map and a bunch of playlist CDs, and he ends up following the map to the letter, and she has music playing for every single part of this trip, which if I think about that too hard, the logic of it fails, because it's like the idea of him being able to hit these points at these moments on the CD was a little like, that's really hoping for the best here. But it was kind of cool because he's traveling areas of the country I've never been to. So I'm getting to see stuff as he's discovering it in that way. Some of the music in there, especially I really like the part where she takes him to the hotel where the balcony was where Martin Luther King got assassinated. He goes in and gets to see the room, and they have it all preserved the way it was that morning. And it talks about the civil rights movement. They're playing Pride by U2. That part, I was like, wow, it hit me pretty well. And then they have parts with him reliving his childhood, thinking of his dad and how his dad treated him as a buddy at times. And that part kind of hit me just because of my own loss of my father a couple of years back and all that stuff. But yeah, it's one of those movies that it is very of its time, and I could see why Jesse likes it, knowing Jesse's knowing the way that Jesse works on a movie level. Sometimes I could tell this would work for him. This, I didn't see it in the theater, so I don't have the nostalgia to it, but I appreciated parts of it probably more than Curtis, I actually sat through it, so I got more than the Duchin on that one at least.
I will say though, if I could have cuddled with Jesse on the couch while watching it, then
I'll make it through anything.
I would have made it through. So.
Yeah,
you guys have high hopes for physical contact with me, and it's just because
he has his.
No. I don't like how warm I feel on my own in my apartment. So when there's someone else in the place, I definitely don't want them sitting right next to me. If
I did want to just touch on what Sean just said, because the Susan Sarandon part, like I'm not a big fan of hers in general, but I thought that scene with her giving that speech was really impactful. I liked that. And then, when I was talking about the, kind of him finding his reason to live, I was really talking about that road trip that you're talking about at the end of the movie. So, that whole part from like her speech through the band, through his, road trip, like the end of the movie was really solid. It just took a long time to get there. And it bugs me when they do this thing in movies where, either somebody goes through a breakup or they have a hard time in their life or somebody dies or whatever. Yeah. And then they find that person and immediately, like, I would say fall in love in the movie, but they don't, it's not really love. It's just kind of like that person is taking a little bit of the pain away and you're substituting your pain with that person. And that's kind of what I felt in this. Like, they didn't feel like a solid couple. They didn't feel like they had a relationship that was real. It was just like, hey, you make me feel less shitty right now. And that kind of rubbed me a little bit the wrong way. When they do that in movies, and specifically in this movie. So that part I didn't like too much. But like I said, the Susan Sarandon part, the band, the end of the movie with his road trip, all good stuff.
They did set that up in the movie though, which I thought at least didn't make it feel like it was just out of the blue. She kept reminding him, we're the substitutes.
Yeah.
There's always going to be somebody who sees something in the person we're with better or whatever, and we're just there to bide their time until they find the next thing. Yeah. And so, like I've been there, I've done that many times in my life where, I'm thinking one thing and then all of a sudden the person I'm with is like, well, that's that. And they move on and it's like, okay, like what the heck? The one thing that I also noted about it, and I did tell Jesse this, was like, the ending just felt so abrupt when it just ends in that one. I mean, it literally is like he completes the road trip. He's there at the end, and he's supposed to meet a girl with a red hat. And I'm like, I know who that's going to be. And then it was. And literally, that was it. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, roll credits. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, that was – it kind of like had me go, that was that? Like it just felt like it was building towards a little bit more. And we got that, and that was, and I'm like, all right, fine. They covered what they needed to cover, but in my opinion, like Cameron Crowe has done like Say Anything. He's done Almost Famous. He's done Jerry Maguire, and like a lot of those feel a little bit more fleshed out than this movie for me. And I couldn't figure out what the problem was, where what it wasn't connecting to, because like Jerry Maguire, that was like a thing when it came out. That was literally like a year or two of your life. You couldn't get away from Secret Garden by Bruce Springsteen. You couldn't get away from You Had Me at Hello. The Human Head Weighs 8 Pounds, all that.
Did you ever see the movie, the Michael J. Fox movie, Doc Hollywood?
Yes.
To me, it felt a lot like that, but not nearly as good. Like you had this guy that, kind of was living this rich lifestyle, doing this kind of stuff. And then he ends up in this small town, and he ends up kind of realizing that there's more to life than all of that. And it kind of had that feel to it, but without the humor, without, as much of the writing that was, that kind of thing.
Yeah. The thing, I completely agree with that. And I think my problem with it, and this is I didn't have a problem with the movie, but it's like the thing that I feel was not the best option is Orlando Bloom for me in that movie. Mm-hmm. Like you talk Doc Hollywood, well, that's Michael J. Fox. In that era, Michael J. Fox could print money if he was in stuff, because the guy had charm and charisma, and he had comedy timing. Like Orlando Bloom played such a like he almost feels like a non-character, and it's almost like every character in the movie is pushing him around. Like in the beginning, Alec Baldwin's doing it, his sister's doing it on the phone, Kirsten Dunst is even doing it by taking him on the road trip and all that, and it just feels like he never gets a chance to be his own person. And I can't figure out if it's because Orlando Bloom couldn't pull it off, or if that was the way it was written and Cameron Crowe's like, no, I need you to be that character. Yeah. But him being the main character made that not as memorable or appealing as something like a Doc Hollywood or a Jerry Maguire, for instance.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this: I'm going to talk to Sean about this a little bit. But the reason the movie stuck out to me so much is I saw it in 2006. I think I picked it up. I don't know if I rented it or if it was like, buy two, get one free, used DVD sale at the local Family Video in Illinois, where I was living at the time. But I had just moved to Illinois, like right after Christmas, 2005. So I saw this in 2006. And like I'd been living in Springfield, Missouri for 8 years. I had a relationship that I thought was going to be what my life was going to be. That fell apart and I left. So I didn't feel like I was going to jump on an exercise bike and tie a steak knife to it.
Yeah. Which, by the way, that is just a stupid way to go.
Yes.
Take
some pills, man. Come on.
Yeah. To me, yeah, an exaggeration of the melodrama of someone in their 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, because it's being in our 30s, 40s now, yes, that's ridiculous. But like you get into that mindset of where you were in like your mid to late 20s and you still haven't really lived like you've gone to college. Seems like this was like the first job and he was the superstar. He spent 8 years working on this shoe, which is ridiculous. And I think the reason this shoe failed is because like looking at it as an audience member, I was like, that shoe is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
No one is going to wear that shoe. It feels like something that people were just like in that early 2000s, like that yes man thing. They're like, oh yeah, this is great. No one's doing anything like because it's absolute garbage.
Reinventing the shoe. Yeah.
It was supposed to be the whole thing. Like, he had a clever idea and all these people just went for it. Not that I think he was sincere about it, but everyone else just went along with it. That's why he had the girl. That's why all that stuff was going on, to the point where he was ignoring his family and he hadn't seen his family that much.
Right.
To the point where in that one of the opening scenes, you see them, they've got his picture sitting on the table at Christmas or Thanksgiving or something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I wish they would have emphasized a little bit of that earlier in the movie to let you really know that it had been 8 years that he had been distancing himself from his family. Because I did that, this relationship as I was in. I mean, Sean, we were friends there. Like, he was one of the only people I stayed in contact with, but I pushed all my other friends away. I was hardly talking to my family, all this stuff. So, like, it was relatable on a lot of levels for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the going home, it was his family's home. So that's where his dad is from. And that's the whole thing you missed, Matt, is Susan Sarandon, like, came there, or they met. So, no, they met in an elevator. There's a whole speech about how they met in an elevator. They both left the people they were engaged to marry each other, and he moved with her to the West Coast. So in that town's mind, she was the one who ripped Mitch away from everybody. So that's why they were trying to do it there, because like, oh, she can't even be bothered to come here because she was afraid everybody's going to be mad at her because she took him away and all this stuff. So
still seems very legally shady. And
well, that's the whole thing. The son was going to claim the body, bring it home so they could have the funeral.
Yeah, they already had him in a casket. They were ready to put him in the ground though when he got there. Like, it was,
I mean, I don't know if you've spent much time in the South, but you don't want to leave a body sitting around too long.
No, you put it in the morgue where it belongs.
It's a little warm down there.
It's a little warm down there. Yeah, and so he goes back to this town, and it's like he was not only did he not agree with Sean, like, he didn't really have his own personality. I think that was an intentional choice with Orlando Bloom, and he might not have ever been Michael J. Fox level, like, the guy, but we're talking 2005, so he's just coming off Lord of the Rings. He was in Black Hawk Down. Like he was like,
yeah, but I mean, Lord of the Rings, he doesn't have much of a character either. Like he's very stoic in that movie. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but there's a lot of people, especially women, who like he was like the dream guy.
Yeah,
I get that, but I think like I hear what Sean's saying too. Like, I think if you have like a Vince Vaughn or a Paul Rudd or somebody in that role that also has a little bit of a more comedic delivery, that can, I think, I don't know. I think that some of that character, you bring a little bit more to that role. I think that some of it might have been the writing, but I would put more of it on Orlando Bloom.
The guy.
I think he was intentionally blank. Like I think that was an intentional choice to have him be kind of less of a character.
Sean, what were you gonna say?
The guy that right off the top of my head, he was already in a Cameron Crowe movie, but he would have worked here. In my opinion, would have been John Cusack.
Yeah,
like he could be that non-character, but he would still have this vibe about him where you would be interested in what he's going to do next because he's capable of being that kind of an actor. Whereas I felt Orlando Bloom really. He blended in with the scenery sometimes with not and like Jesse said, I do think he was written that way, but I think an actor that is more than capable could have risen that to a different degree, which would have made it maybe more watchable for some people than not. So that's I completely, the timeline makes complete sense. He was just coming off of the high of Lord of the Rings, and he was definitely one of the standout people in that movie. But then it's like, I don't know. I feel like there could have been other actors who could have done this role and probably made this a more memorable movie than what it is for a lot of people.
Jesse, anything else? Like, you haven't really touched the stuff that we talked about as far as the ending of the movie and the band and Susan Sarandon and all that.
In a way, Sean and I talked about this when he was here. You know, Kirsten Dunst plays a,
the pixie dream girl.
Yeah, like kind of the deep South pixie dream girl kind of character, where she's, the right thing at the right time for him. And, it's like he's coming off this job where he has very little personality. Like his apartment was all about the shoes and his girlfriend. Like you saw the computer screen in the background, it just had pictures of Jessica Biel's face, like scrolling on the background. And
in my mid-20s, that was the thing too, though. I did have that.
Yeah.
I couldn't blame
Jessica Biel.
Well, I mean, it wasn't Jessica Biel; it was his girlfriend, played by Jessica Biel. But the whole thing with Kirsten Dunst, like I liked it because like she realizes what's going on with him, and she just tries to make a passenger happy on the flight. Very unrealistic. Like I've never had a flight attendant. Then again, I'm not Orlando Bloom, so but I like the whole thing with like his cousin and just the relationship his cousin has with his little son that just like screams all the time, and how different his relationship is with his dad. And he's like, you can't just be his buddy. And I just liked those different things. I know Sean said it, and I think Curtis did too. Like when you see the flashbacks when like he and his dad are going on a trip or something, and they just start spinning around, like the music that played in that scene. Like I listened to that. I got the full soundtrack to this movie. There's 2 albums after I watched it. And like that song I listened to all the time. It's just this, my dad wasn't I don't know what he was a salesman for, but my dad did insurance and car sales when I was a kid and would dress up like that, like the white button down shirt and, oh, thanks, Joe.
And yes, Matt, we are talking about that Orlando Bloom Dunst movie.
Yes.
Elizabethtown.
I just really, I still have my dad for now. I think he's 84. He had a stroke a couple years ago. He's not doing great, but he's hanging in there. So even this was almost 20 years ago that I saw this movie, but it just really resonated with me for some reasons. And, just that reconnection to his family and learning who his dad really was and what his dad meant to that town, I thought was really interesting because none of it talked about the success his dad was as a businessman. It was all who he was as a person. And I think that was a big thing for Orlando Bloom's character to learn. And like a lot of romance movies, a lot of them they're the beginning of the story.
Yeah.
Like it's the infatuation, it's the meet cute, it's the getting to know you. Very rarely do they ever show you what the relationship progresses on and how difficult and stuff that is. I'll guarantee you not guarantee you. When I first watched the movie, I thought Kirsten Dunst was going to have a different girl waiting. Like I thought it was just going to be some random girl that he meets that was going to be like, cause she knew the right person to send his way. I didn't think it was going to be her. Like I was 50-50. But yeah, the whole thing with like their relationship and how they have that talk. And like, even though she's clearly into him and he, gives that whole speech about, I lost $1 billion. It was all about him. And she's like, I don't care about any of that. Like, and he loses her sort of. Like, I thought that was good. And yeah, the mom coming and like the whole seeing her try to like cook and how she's going crazy. And Sean talked about this, like how she gets eaten by the car, like the hood of the car falling on her, and you see her legs like kicking out behind. It's just great. Yeah. And the whole road trip, I was telling Sean, I didn't drive that road because I drove from where I am in central Pennsylvania to Springfield, Missouri. So similar roads and landscapes, a little further north. So like I was like, man, that just hit a lot of memories of driving those roads out to school and everything. So it's not a perfect movie. I don't even think it's one of the best movies. But it just hit me at the right time. And I figured it was one none of you guys had seen.
Yep.
No, like I said, I'm glad I watched it. There was definitely parts in it that were beneficial to see. I think now after we've all talked about it and kind of hearing what Sean had to say, I really do think it's Bloom's performance that really drags for me. Like I just and thinking about it, like in other things that I've seen, like even in Lord of the Rings, like he really doesn't have too many speaking parts in Lord of the Rings. Like he's just kind of there looking pretty for the ladies. I just don't know that he's a great actor, but I appreciate that you recommended this one, and it was definitely, like I said, the end of the movie, Susan Sarandon's part, the band, like it was definitely worth seeing for sure. And I'm sad that Dooch didn't make it through to at least see those parts.
After hearing you guys talk about it, I'll probably go through and find some clips on YouTube, see certain scenes. But yeah, just between Bloom and then for me, I don't like Dunst when she plays these kind of characters. I know one of my wife's favorite movies is Crazy Beautiful, where she plays a similar character and she just bugs the shit out of me in that too. So, but yeah, so it just between those two and then the story, but I'll probably go see some clips.
Cool. Any final thoughts, Jesse?
I don't like a lot of other Cameron Crowe movies. I like that, Almost Famous, and We Bought a Zoo, and Hawaii or Aloha, whatever that one was called, which I know a lot of people hate, but I like those. I don't like Jerry Maguire. I saw it once, and that was more than enough for me.
Well, you do complete us, Jesse. So,
and Kevin,
yes,
he says when he was stationed at Fort Knox, Elizabethtown is right outside the base, and the only close town for a brigade pass. Lots of Tata bars there. So.
Wow, we didn't see that in the movie.
No, if they'd shown that,
yeah.
Oh,
and Steve-O,
nice.
I 100% agree. He is a lot better in Kingdom of Heaven. That is a far superior movie overall.
I don't think I've seen that.
100%, especially the extended cut.
Is it Sean?
It's Sean. Sean is going to whip something out.
Have you ever?
So I've been in this mode lately. And it's weird because there's multiple shows now that are coming out where it's like confirming it. And then on top of that, we discussed the casting news been in a Superman mood, which hasn't happened for me since Batman v Superman, because I hated that movie so much. I actually like renounced Superman for a few years. But the have you ever that I would like to do, I'm gonna take a chapter from Curtis here. Action Comics 800.
Oh, nice.
Have you ever read that issue?
I think I read 799.
Action Comics 800.
Can you tell us what 800 was? Because
so it's like a double-sized anniversary issue, and it goes into the origin of Superman, but in a very different way, because instead of seeing the rocket crash landing to Earth, the rocket's already on Earth, and it's like the night, like one of the vignettes, because it's basically these little short stories, and then in between the short stories, they have people talking about why Superman matters to them, because you're getting like the people on the street point of view of Superman, either in comics or in Metropolis or whatever. But it's these little vignette moments of like the rocket already landed, Jonathan and Martha are there in the farmhouse, and they're talking, what do we do with this kid?
All right.
So
don't give too much away. Don't give too much away.
No, this is just literally just the very beginning of the book, so you're not getting much, but it's mostly like it's giving you these little character moments that are like setting up the stage for what becomes what we know as Superman, and it's done in a way where I was really like, I'm like, they managed to find all these little pieces that led to something where we've seen all the other version of it. And for me, the vignette part of the people on the street point of view is one of the most powerful parts of why it resonates to me to this day.
I have definitely never read that. I have heard you talk about it before. So.
Yeah, I have talked it up.
I will do my best to make it through, but if it starts with a suicide machine, then
I think you're going to be safe on this.
Okay.
And if there's a
really getting hung up on that.
Yeah, if there's a giant superhero orgy, then I'm probably gonna not read it.
I think you're safe on that too. So I think we're good.
If there's a giant superhero orgy, I will definitely make it through.
Yeah, well, can't please everybody.
All right.
Jesse, have you ever? You probably have read Action Comics 800.
Nope.
No. Okay.
That was before my DC reading time.
Okay.
Ooh.
Well, there you go. We'll check it out. If any of you guys in the chat want to check it out before next numbered episode, we'll talk about it then.
So next, we're getting into some spoilers.
Spoilers. So if you have not watched the 4 episodes of Secret Invasion that are out right now, you're probably going to want to turn this off, or at least don't cry about spoilers, because they're going to come.
There you go.
I'm going to grab another pop. Feel free to go rolling there, boys. I'll be right back.
All right. So Secret Invasion. Do we have any AI things that we can throw up for us, like real quick, just to lead into this? No AI. All right. Jesse's face. Jesse, is that your face, or you locked up? All right. So we've had some discussions about this as far as lowered expectations going into this, knowing that even though it's called Secret Invasion, it's not going to really be the Secret Invasion that we would want from the comics. It's going to be different. So let's just start with that. Like, we know it's going to be different. You can't expect what happened in the comics to be in this. So we know that. So we got the bar is lowered a little bit. Based on that lowered bar, what are your guys' thoughts with the first 4 episodes, where we're at? We've only got 2 episodes left, right? It's only 6 total.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So we're more than halfway done. We're 2/3 the way through this. Where we sit right now, are you happy or are you upset? Are you meh? You don't care? Let's start with Sean. I want to hear from Sean.
Well, I'm in the meh, I don't care category, and I had to watch it to be on the show.
Okay.
So you didn't
this
watch any of it before?
No. I did. I watched them so I can have a point of view about it at least. But I every single episode of this series, I'm like, I feel like this is taking forever to get to the credits and to the point. For me personally, the fourth episode actually picked up, and there was some stuff where I'm like, oh well, okay, that's interesting at least. But the interesting for me is if you want to talk Marvel, for instance, like Avengers is here. Secret Invasion is like here for me on how interesting it is to sit through it and whatnot. It's a story that is interesting to go, okay, hey, we're getting to see what the deal is with Nick Fury, and we're getting to see the whole thing with Talos and him, since that friendship or whatever started in Captain Marvel. But it's not something that I needed to be followed up on personally. It's not one of those things that I feel it needs a whole entire show to do this. 6 episodes where I don't know. It's not working for me. And yeah, it really does. I heard somebody say Disney Plus finally has their own Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, and that was one of the reviews, and I was like, I didn't make it too far through even that series, so I guess, yeah, you could probably look at it from that perspective, depending what your opinion was on that show.
So I actually, there were some moments throughout Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that I actually enjoyed, and I would say this isn't even up to that standard.
No.
In my opinion. I feel like they have a very good premise for, I mean, the comics laid out a great story, and we understand they're not going to do the same thing, but the threat of the Skrulls, and that basically they can be anybody and they could be anywhere and, infiltrate, whoever, whatever groups, whether it be S.H.I.E.L.D., whether it be Avengers, whether it be the White House, whatever, is a huge threat. So I could see where this has the makings to be something really good. And I was a little disappointed when I found out that it was only going to be 6 episodes, because I was like, how are you going to do this justice in 6 episodes? Like this, when I think of some of the series that they've done in, 10 episodes and 12 episodes, I'm like, this has definitely got to be one that has more episodes than that. Like 6 is just not going to do it. And then, as it got closer, I was like, well, we'll give it a chance, and we'll see what happens. And maybe they just come out right from the get-go with a bang. And man, we're right into the story, and the 6 episodes just fly, and it's just action-packed the whole time. We're 2/3 the way through this, and nothing's happened really. I mean, it's like a whole bunch of just nothing. You're not seeing the big superhero reveals that are Skrulls and this and that. And the only one we really have seen so far, big spoiler, is War Machine. Rhodey's actually, a Skrull.
Which was so
but even in that, like this week,
fucking time.
Yeah, even in that, like this week, I mean, it was very predictable. But this week, they're in the big giant battle, and the Skrulls are fighting, Fury and those guys, and they're trying to save the president on that. Like, he never turns into War Machine. Like,
yep.
What the fuck do I care if he's a Skrull if he's not even going to be in the armor and fight and do stuff? Like why, I'm sitting there in this series, and I'm sorry, I'm getting a little amped up, a little angry, but like, I understand you can't have Cap. You can't have some of these other big names in there, but you're going to throw this guy in there, and you're 2/3 the way through the series, and you reveal that he's a Skrull, and you're not even going to have him in the suit of fucking armor? Like, what are you doing? He's just sitting in the fucking cab, like watching all the other Skrulls get fucking plowed down, and watching Fury escape with the president, and he's just like never once armors up. Like, what the fuck is going on? I'm so I could, man, I tell you what, the last 2 episodes could blow me the fuck away, and I could be like, I was so wrong, I should have just waited, should have had patience. But right now, I'm more than mad. I'm fucking over this thing, man. I am only watching the last 2 episodes to see if I'm horribly wrong and it gets better. But I can't see how they end this with 2 more episodes and have it finish out being something that's not complete and utter fucking shit. So,
I gotta agree with you guys here. I watched the first episode the day after it came out. As soon as I realized it was out, because I'm always behind the times, I watched the first episode, and I did not expect anything on the level of the comics, which was a badass, amazing concept. But I was hoping they would at least, have a little. Okay, so you can't have, all these heroes. That doesn't mean you can't talk about them. Like, you don't have to show it. And maybe get, they brought War Machine in. Actually, bring War Machine in. Maybe even bring in like Miss Marvel or something like that. One of your TV, the lower tier, and then talk about like, hey, this happened. That's kind of what I was hoping, right? That at least they would try and get the scope of it. But like you said, there's no real scope. The people that they are impersonating, we don't know. And in my opinion, they have not set up the scrolls well to where you don't even give a shit. This should be paying off stuff that's been set up. But besides Captain Marvel and, Spider-Man Far From Home, unless I'm misremembered, we haven't seen them in anything else. So when Fury's talking about, Thanos, we 30 years now, buddy, like, it's just words. Because, yes, technically we know it's been 30 years, but you've seen nothing in there. He had never even mentioned Thanos until after Captain Marvel, which is supposed to take place in the 80s, but like it's so convoluted, and they're trying to make
90s.
Sorry, 90s.
And why hasn't he been able to find a planet? Like, you're telling me that they don't know of one fucking planet that these guys can live on? All these planets that we visited in Guardians of the Galaxy, there's not one planet that the Skrulls could be on. Fuck, go to that planet at the end of the one Avengers movie where Thanos is just sitting there with the fucking garden.
Yep.
It's a great planet, and there's nobody even fucking there. Send them to that planet.
So at the end of the day, knowing that they weren't going to do the full secret invasion thing. But like Sean, so I watched the first episode, and I didn't watch anything else, honestly, until we were like, hey, we're going to talk about it. I'm like, okay, so in this week I watched the other three. But it's just like, so my saving graces out of this were like, all right, at least we're going to have Samuel Jackson as Nick Fury. And we're going to see, maybe we'll finally see Kobe Smulders really, I've always liked her little bits as Maria Hill. I'm like, maybe we're going to flesh that out. Boom, they kill Maria off, end of the first episode. Fucking waste. Yeah. And Fury's this shell of a man that's like, I don't give a shit about this Fury. And I'm sorry, I don't believe that Fury would be crushed like this because he was blipped away. Like, he had no fucking control over that, but we're not seeing the badass, one step ahead, always got a plan Fury. We're seeing this guy that's constantly second guessing himself. Looks like he's about to hyperventilate at the drop of a hat. Like this isn't, like, you're missing all of this on every point here. And I was confused. Grant, I was zoning out at points. So did he know his wife was a Skrull?
Yes.
Before this?
Yeah, he just didn't know she was working with the other guys. So. Okay.
Because even when they're talking, I kept going back and forth because, like, sometimes they say things and it's like, oh, you didn't even know she was a Skrull. Then other times, she's like, well, what would you have loved me if it was real? If you knew who I was or something? He's like, I guess we'll never know. I'm like, oh, so you didn't know she was a Skrull? Like,
I think she's saying if she never put on that face, like if she stayed looking like a Skrull, would that was how I took that.
And that too. Like, have we ever had any allusion to him even having a wife before this? Like,
one of the other things that bugged me about it, like the way that they built this thing up with him and Talos, like Talos is basically taking credit for everything that Nick Fury has done, like his whole career, how all the times he's gotten promoted and all this kind of stuff, that they basically had these other Skrulls with inside S.H.I.E.L.D. and wherever and trying to feed him information and stuff. How the fuck did they not know about Hydra? Like, if you literally can be anybody and you've got all these Skrulls that were helping you out throughout your time in S.H.I.E.L.D. and moving up the ranks, how did they not know that Hydra had infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D.? Like, Like there's just some plot holes on top of bad writing, on top of meh performances, on top of no real superheroes that we give a shit about.
And that guy that plays, what is it, Gravit, right?
Yeah.
The evil leader, like he's boring as shit. And
yeah.
And then so now so all that aside, we're getting no heroes. We got lame Nick. Maria's dead. All right, at least we're gonna have some fun shapeshifter action, right? No, they fucking stay in their forms, whatever their chosen human
until they get killed.
99% of the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, imagine playing like the shell game with like who is Gravit? Like he's constantly bouncing around. Like you said, Kurt, so we just had that big shootout in the episode. Why aren't those guys like changing their form to fuck with the actual troops? Like, is that my buddy? Is it not? I don't know. They keep changing. Like, you could at least have some fun action like that.
They 100% did that.
Huh? What's that?
There was like a huge moment when someone was pretending to be a Skrull. One of the Skrulls was pretending to be someone else in that sequence.
Yeah, another officer, but like nobody at no point did somebody else pretend to be the president or pretend to be Fury or pretend to be, what I'm saying? Like it's just, yeah.
Like
if you have the ability to shapeshift,
and then she changes right back to his, human Gravit form. Why would you turn into that form? Why would anybody even know that? Like it doesn't make sense. Everyone's looking for you looking like that, and you can change, and you don't.
Yeah.
I don't
know.
Go ahead, Jesse. I feel like we need you to bring a little positive.
We call this part of the episode, folks, 3 people shitting on something, and then Jesse comes in with roses. Jesse?
Look, I'm not going to come in here and try to white knight this and say that this is the best show that Marvel has done. I definitely have different opinions than you guys do. I'm overall enjoying it. I agree with Curtis. At this point, whenever Marvel uses a title that they have used as a comic, I 100% don't expect it to be anything like the comic at all. To where when they said this was going to be a Nick Fury show with Skrulls, I was like, cool. I don't expect to see hardly anything with superheroes. So none of that is shocking me or upsetting me or bothering me. And I'm not saying that's like the right way to be. That's just, I just did not expect that to be a big part of this show. I really like the concept of them trying to turn the different, world, countries against each other. I think that's interesting. I like the way they're doing it, like how they're like the sleeper cells and all that stuff in the, the people in with Rhodey and all this stuff. And I'll give a little argument to the whole thing with the leg braces. Like what he's been wearing has diminished each time.
Yeah, he's been more.
So I just took it as either he had something nano inside of him, or something that he could wear under his clothes that's helping him, or he's been fixed at this point. Because I had to look it up. I was like, was he wearing braces in Endgame? And he was. So, but yeah, I mean. I like, yes, they're expecting us. They're filling in a lot of stuff that they did not take the time to set up. I do agree with that. I feel like they're explaining a lot of stuff, especially in the first 2 episodes about they couldn't find a planet for the Skrulls because everyone out in the galaxy knows who the Skrulls are and nobody wants them. Like everybody, because the Skrulls were part of such a big bad thing, nobody wants them. So the ones that were good that were left were getting the shit, from everything else that the rest of their people had done.
So there's no life-sustaining uninhabitable planets ever anywhere.
When we see this, because that flashback was to like the late 90s when they show them in London.
We've had 30 years.
No. What I'm saying is the Captain Marvel stuff was 94. So they go to 97, 98, whenever that sequence was where you see Nick Fury saying, hey, you guys can stay here until we find something else.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know about the planet Thanos had made. The Thanos, or that Thanos was on. That was, and we saw that planet during the blip when everything was gone. So we don't know what came back to that planet after they unsnapped everybody. Fair point. Maybe that's a planet they get to take them to at the end of the series when they're like, hey, okay, Carol finally found a place, or whatever this is. I feel like this is definitely setting up whatever the Marvels movie is going to be. Like, this is going to shoehorn right into that movie. Which people can get upset about, but that's what every Marvel and TV show has been since Iron Man. Is there's always been something to set up the next thing. And again, not saying it's perfect. I absolutely hate the intro. I hate the use of the AI in it.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother conversation. I don't think we have time to get into all of that.
I watched it once. I've skipped it every time since.
And the only reason I'm still watching the show is because it's something I watch with my mom, and I don't want to like lose spending that time with her because it's, you know, and that sort of thing. But and I'm still paying for Disney Plus, so the only thing they're getting from me is a single person watching it on there are two people watching it on their tracking or whatever. But I like the stuff with Fury. I like that Fury isn't the badass Shaft, because I saw the Samuel Jackson Shaft movie and I didn't like it because like he was unstoppable. It was boring because it's like, oh, he's gonna get there was no threat presented to him.
I don't need Fury to be physically imposing.
No,
but he's supposed to be better strategically than what we're seeing in this series.
And he's never been the unstoppable force. That's literally why he created the Avengers, like because he knew he needed that manpower, and he was smart enough to get out ahead of it. Now he's just, I don't know.
But other than the bit in Winter Soldier where you know he doesn't see Hydra coming and all that, he's been kind of that smooth, badass, one step ahead, you know, with everything. So I know a lot of people don't like Last Jedi, but I liked seeing Luke the way he was. I'm not saying that's a perfect movie, and there's a whole nother 5 podcasts to talk about that. But I like seeing heroes who get challenged. I mean, he's old, he's fragile. Like he was dusted for 5 years, and for someone who's always planning ahead, he's got no way to combat that, and I feel like that would have shaken him to his core. So I totally get why he would have let Talos and whoever was being Hill take his place for a while. Was he was up on that space station or whatever. So like with most Marvel stuff, I feel like the last couple episodes are really where it all comes together or not. And Kevin, I 100% agree the Jack Ryan series is much better than this.
I'll have to go back to it. I tried watching like I've seen the first 3 seasons. I started watching this season and I just for some reason I couldn't get into it. I may have to try it again. So
I will probably watch this week's episode after we finish our show tonight. But again, not saying it's the best, but I like it. I like the relationship they're hinting at had been between Talos and Fury. I like the stuff with Talos and his daughter. I love, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it, I like the way they're setting up the Super Skrulls. Yes, do I feel like the Fantastic Four should be involved? Yes, but they're not, so I can't cry about it.
But here's the thing. I get that based on storyline, based on whatever, based on contractual things, like you can't get Chris Evans in there as Captain America. You can't get, Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. But you paid Don Cheadle to be in this series. We've now seen him for 2 or 3 episodes, and he has not put on the fucking suit. Like, what is the sense of that? Doesn't make any sense to me. Like, if you're the Skrulls and you're going to infiltrate the Avengers and you're going to have somebody posing as one of the fucking superheroes, why would you do that if you're not going to actually use his powers? Like, that doesn't... It
makes total sense because they're not using...
my mind. It blows
They're not using him as an Avenger. They're using him as an aide who has direct contact with the U.S. president.
I get what you're saying, but in that moment, when the shit's hitting the fan and you've got everybody shooting at everybody and they're trying to get the president and he's just sitting there in the back of the fucking car not doing a damn thing, when he is War Machine, like I'm sitting there through episode 4 going, this is the moment. This is the moment where the series turns and we see some cool action, and we see, you know, somebody that's actually presenting themselves as a superhero, but really is a Skrull. This is where the series turns. And he just sits there in the back of the car and the credits roll. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? Like, that is just, why would you pay Don Cheadle to be Rhodey and not be War Machine? I just don't get it. I don't get, I understand not bringing in other people because you don't want to pay Robert Downey Jr. $20 million or whatever. I get it. But if you're paying Don Cheadle to be there, put him in the fucking suit.
Well, and to that point, why does Fury come down and act like he's like, oh, it's me and you, Talos against the world? It's like, you have fucking Sword up there. Like, you've been building this whole thing this whole time. Why are you acting like you have, even before, I mean, I get that eventually Rhodey fires him, but like before that, like, you have all these resources. You're just not using any of them. So. Yeah.
But that's every Marvel. Like, anytime that the world is at stake, it's like, you know, the fucking Eternals, and you got something climbing out of the top of the fucking planet, and nobody shows up. Like, none of the superheroes, you know, think that's important to be there. So, I mean, I guess I kind of get that, because that's, you know, I mean, that's in comics too, where like everything's got to be a world-ending event. Yeah. And you can't have every hero in every show. I get that, but
if you have Fury early on, right, and he's got nameless Sword Agent number 3, you know, a whole group of them, and then that gets taken away. Okay, now you've kind of set it up to where now it's Fury against the world, and you understand why he's broken, why he's down himself, all that. I mean, you know,
unless something changed, no, the suit is not biologically coded to anybody, because he fucking stole it from Tony Stark. He went in there, fucking took it, and left. So unless they change something,
they in Iron Man 3, they do say something about the War Machine suit being coded to him or something. And I think they get the bad guys get to use it because Extremis like broke through that or something like that. But because like the president, you know, they do talk about that.
So then a question, and I don't know, I haven't read enough the comics to know, when the Skrulls change their form into somebody else, are they actually the same makeup as that person, or they just appear to be that person? Like, if a Skrull is posing as Rhodey, biologically, is he the same as Rhodey, or does he just look like Rhodey?
If he leaves DNA at the scene, would it match Rhodey?
That's my question.
in the show they do specifically say, I'm pretty sure that Talos says something about like they match people down to like the DNA.
See, that's what level. I thought, which means it would be coded to the Skrull Rhodey.
War Machine is not nano. War Machine is a full suit that it takes a machine to put on him. You never see Rhodey putting the suit on.
How do we know that the Skrull hasn't been Rhodey for a while? We don't know how long the Skrull has been Rhodey.
We don't.
The Skrull could have been Rhodey before it got coded. So it could have been coded to him the whole time.
Yep.
As far as we know, Terrence Howard may be the real Rhodey. And he may have had a Skrull ever since him.
There have been people.
My point is, out there. At this point, Rhodey is not acting as War Machine. He is only acting mainly as the advisor or whatever.
It's shitty writing.
No. It's like Iceman in Top Gun Maverick. He's no longer a pilot. He's an admiral. The whole point of that movie was Tom Cruise's character should not be doing what he's doing anymore, because he should have moved on in his career. You know, I don't think that's bad writing. Is it less exciting? Absolutely. But, you know, unless Rhodey is traveling around the world with the War Machine armor on a regular basis, he's not just slapping that on. And what was he going to do in that moment?
It's shitty writing. Yeah.
What?
Listen,
no,
Jesse.
Wait. No.
Let me say one thing.
You guys talk for like 20 minutes without me saying anything. It's my turn.
Because you're saying bullshit. But go ahead.
I think you guys are saying bullshit.
Talk your bullshit.
It's all opinions. Look. And I don't even remember what I was going to say. Thank you.
I don't know. You blew out your mic, though. You need to, like, move it closer to you. All right. Go ahead.
All right. So, what would he have done as War Machine in that moment on the road? Stolen the president?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Killed
the hero.
Killed all the fucking good guys and stole the president.
Yes.
Okay, but then everybody would know
How?
War Machine was a bad guy.
How? He killed all the good guys. There's nobody left. Who's gonna tell
every time you see a camera shot in a Marvel movie, that shot is later used as film crew footage. So every time you see film crew footage, it's just a scene from an earlier movie. They never shoot it at a different angle to make it look like. So someone would have seen it.
Okay. Here's what I'm saying, Jesse. I know you wanted to.
Sean's just cruising Facebook at this point.
I'm actually. I was curious and I looked up something that I'll bring up then.
Hit us, facts. We got facts.
Hold on. I gotta hit Jesse real quick.
Ooh. Smack on the booty.
We started this discussion by saying we understand this is not going to be the comic series Secret Invasion. We started that. We set that bar so that we knew, we're talking with the lowered bar. And I'm saying it's not even hitting that lowered fucking bar. And this is why. In the comic books, you've got all these heroes that we love and know and love and all this kind of stuff. And you don't know who's a Skrull and who's real and all this and that. Right? You give us this series where you give us one fucking Avenger, which is Rhodey, and then you don't make him the superpowered Avenger that he is. That is shitty. Okay, if we're gonna get the B-list Avenger or maybe even C-list Avenger, and that's the best you're gonna give us, and you don't even put him in a suit, fuck that. That's what I'm saying.
I agree.
That's your bar. I agree it wasn't going to be the comics. I did not agree to what your bar was for what you expected the show to be.
Because you will eat the Marvel shit sandwich and say, thank you, can I have another?
No,
I'm not going to do that.
No, I don't.
Oh, yeah.
Sean, I'd like to hear your facts.
I loathe Multiverse of Madness. I don't like Thor Love and Thunder.
Name one Marvel series that you have not liked. Series? Yep.
See, I put this one right down with Cap and Winter Soldier, which I thought was pretty much.
I would put this one definitely towards the bottom of the list, but I have not disliked any of the series. But I have liked the only movie I dislike is Multiverse of Madness. Absolutely despise.
Yes. Sean, do you have any facts for us?
Well, the problem is facts. I don't know, but I saw something earlier this week. And I tried to do a Google search for it, and I found a site. Apparently, they posted on the Marvel's official site. Kevin Feige did an interview, and he suggested that a Skrull impersonated Rhodey in his previous MCU appearances. He also encourages fans to rewatch previous movies that involved Rhodes to figure out how long the character has been an imposter. So while he worked on the movies, he's had this for quite a while that Feige said, hey, we want you to do this leading up to this event we're going to do. And supposedly that's a thing. And so if you want to go, the site that I found this on is xfire.com. So that's why I'm not saying it's maybe factual, but if they're saying it was an interview on Marvel's official site that he had given this information out, I feel like, well, that's at least saying more credibility than, oh, this site just made it up or whatever. But from that point of view, it's interesting because then what Curtis is complaining about does hold some weight of why isn't he using the suit and all that kind of stuff. But then it like Jesse said, he has to get put into it. It's not nanotech like Tony had in Endgame and Infinity War and all that stuff. He's been traditionally like the first Iron Man, having to cobble this suit together every time he's about to wear it. But even from that standpoint, it's like, I don't know, the show itself, for me, it just, this feels like something that could have been done as a subplot in a movie to become a bigger problem later on than doing it this way. It feels watered down. It feels like the punch isn't there. Even like the last episode, like Talos gets shot and all that. And I'm like, I wish I felt something about this moment.
Exactly.
I wish I felt something about a lot of the moments here. The one other thing I want to say though is the one time that they did it where Nick Fury was knocked on his heels in the way that he is in this, and it was done better in my opinion, was Winter Soldier. Because in Winter Soldier, from the get-go, he's now under attack by Robert Redford and the upper echelon of S.H.I.E.L.D., and the whole movie is Cap and Maria Hill and him basically just going underground, and Black Widow, and they're doing their best to try to figure out what's going on, and that was done better in my opinion than and it's like, well, we've seen the effect that people 5 years into the blip, Cap's going to the meetings and talking to people about how they can move on, and you have to move on. That's what we're here and we're left. We have to keep moving and all that stuff. And there's that feeling of like, again, it was done better in other places. And it's like this whole show just feels like it's a chance for Nick Fury to shine, but it's not really that interesting of a shine. It very much is like everything that made him interesting was the mystique of Nick Fury, not the learning of all there is to know about Nick Fury. And there's plenty of characters out there that Wolverine, the minute you know everything about him, suddenly it's like, oh crap, that's what that guy's about. Like it's cooler when you have some mystique to some of these characters who are holding all the cards, and you find out later on, oh, they had the plan all along or whatever, versus how this is being done. Because it's that whole, for me, it's that whole thing of seeing your heroes age, or seeing your heroes die, or seeing your heroes, like parents, heroes, whatever. There is that feeling of like, I don't want to see this. Like, this is not what I want to watch and enjoy. Because Nick Fury to me is somebody that he shouldn't have to be who he is in this show. Like, you're finding out all the dirty laundry about the guy, and it's just like, man, I just don't want to watch the dirty laundry of Nick Fury. I want to see him able to like come back from this, and be better about it, I guess, or something.
All right. So based on what you said, so it sounds like Feige saying this is not the first that we're seeing of Rhodes being a Skrull. We've seen him somewhere else. Okay,
that's what they're saying.
Okay,
which sounds more like damage control, but whatever.
Okay, so I just looked up the movies that Don Cheadle has been in for Marvel. Iron Man 2, he's in the suit. Iron Man 3, he's in the suit. Age of Ultron, he's in the suit. Captain America Civil War, in the suit. Infinity War.
There he is.
Hold up.
Yeah.
Nope. Okay. Yep. Go ahead.
Infinity War, in the suit. Endgame, in the suit. And then it says Captain Marvel. I don't remember him in that movie. I can't say that whether he was in the suit or not. But he has been in the suit for every other movie for sure besides Captain Marvel.
Right.
So if we've seen him in another movie, unless it's just that one that I don't even remember him being in, means that he's been in that suit, which means he can be in the suit, which means why don't we see him in the fucking suit?
Because
we already established this.
So, and it's not that he's retired from being War Machine, if that's whatever, because they're also getting ready to do the Armor Wars where he's going to be in the suit. Just FYI.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
You know what?
What's up, man?
Don't come in and defend this shit, Matt. Don't do it.
He will, because he's the creative type. He's gonna be like,
no, I'm not defending it.
Because they're awesome.
The reason why I'm here is honestly, I'm loving this passion. I mean, I try to catch as many shows as I can, but hearing Curtis and Jesse act like a married couple is fantastic.
It's the NewlyWed.
You guys should clip this stuff when you do your little promos, because this is great. No, I'm neither defending. I'm neither defending nor praising. I would just say I definitely think I want you guys to do an episode when the show's complete.
Oh yeah,
just to see the contrast, because that's going to be pretty cool. And then, yeah, as far as it goes, my opinion on Feige.
Steve-O.
Oh man, so good. Anyways, he just went through a divorce, guys. I don't know if you realize this yet, but Costner just actually went through a divorce. So I'm struggling with that information. Anyways, Feige.
It means you got a chance.
The only reason why I give Feige a little bit of the benefit of the doubt is because of seeing how many, or hearing about how many hours of thought process went into this first, 10, now 15 years. So if they were able to plant those seeds, I definitely I wouldn't deny that they're not there, or at least open-ended enough where they could pull from, wait a minute, Don Cheadle said something sort of weird in that, whatever. So I think that stuff could possibly exist, but the issue with this show that I've had so far is, like Curtis is saying, and I will fully admit with some other shows, if they keep, like with Winter Soldier, if they keep the pace and the writing tight and don't give you these moments to be like, well, wait, why aren't they doing this, or why aren't they doing that, and like constantly question stuff. If they just move the plot right along and like make it engaging, because the stuff doesn't need technology or suits or the superheroes actually to be involved to be engaging if it's well written. Some of the Talos stuff, this is pretty cool. I'm not too connected to it because Miss Marvel wasn't, or Captain Marvel wasn't a home run for me by any means. So I think they're trying to make as much out of it as they can. But yeah, to Curtis's point, it's like, even if it was 10 minutes of Rhodes in the suit, then the suit gets blown up, just some sort of reasoning. And I don't know if you guys had talked about like Quill with the mask in the last Guardians movie, like just give me even a millisecond of reasoning, because you've given us so much good content. Now we're holding you to a higher standard. And that's where a lot of these shows are lacking, where the Marvel movies, everyone involved with them is up here. But when they're getting TV show writers and TV show actors and TV show producers and TV show special effects, and now we're dealing with down here and down here and down here, it's not nearly going to hold up as much as those meals that we ate at the theater with all the big hits. And so it's one of those things. I go back to it. It's like, man, I can see a really cool, engaging story and show in there somewhere, but it's not quite hitting all the beats. I think that it really, and this Nick Fury thing, like this addition of, let's just give him a glaze eye and give him these 3 scars. I'm digging it. I wish they would have done it like 10 years ago. Like I'm sure Samuel Jackson this time was like, you know what? I've been wearing this I've been making a movie, like looking at people like this for 10 years. He said, we're doing something different if I'm going to be involved in this movie. But I love your guys' engagement right now. I had to jump in and let you know that this is fantastic. And I'm happy I see a married couple fight every once in a while, because it
I'll
does
say
exist.
this. They did have him do that almost 10 years ago.
Did they?
Yeah.
At the end of Winter Soldier, when he burns his like secret stash of stuff, he pulls off his eye patch.
Oh, and didn't he have a fake implant thing in there too, or a camera or something? I can't remember.
It was muggy. It was I think he scanned something in the movie, because he had
what they showed.
He used his dead eye.
He used his dead eye to do that for the confirmation or whatever at ship base.
He's been going around with I think real Fury's been going around with the bared eye since Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they established the cat gave him the scars in Captain Marvel.
Interesting.
Well, the cat did the eye thing too.
Right. So if there's one glimmer of hope for me in this, It's that, well, two things. Number one, there is a good premise there. Like the whole idea of the Skrulls could be anybody is a good premise. And with the series, I feel like they've finished stronger than they've started in every series except for two. I think the Falcon and Winter Soldier fell off at the end. I thought it was better before the last episode or two. And I think Miss Marvel was better early on and kind of fell off at the very end. But all the rest of them, I feel like they ramped up as the season went on, and they finished very strong. So hopefully these next two episodes, like I said, completely changed my mind. And a few weeks from now, I'm in here eating shit and just saying that, you know, I was totally wrong. But I'll be honest, I don't really see that.
I completely
Even if
agree.
it finishes strong, I don't think you're gonna change your entire opinion. And I'm not saying that as like a provocative, like instigative thing. I just think knowing the way the pacing of the show is going to be, you might like the way the last episodes go, but I don't see your overall opinion changing unless
I
they do
have a huge
really
recency bias. As you know, my favorite figure is the most recent one that I opened. So if it finishes strong, there's a chance where I could change my opinion, but it would have to be really solid.
I think that's the worst part about all of this, and especially hearing Jesse talk and everything. Like, there's a lot of good potential here, and this is one I really think that Disney rushed out. They should have let the Fantastic Four come out and done some more world building with the Skrulls first. So, you know, we actually care about this before we get to Secret Invasion. Like,
do you think it works better? I don't know. Sorry, I was jumping in, but do you guys think would have worked better in movie form or not really?
Yes.
I think that it would have worked better if I like the series idea, but I think it should have been like 10 or 12 episodes. And I think they should have probably had a little bit more star power in it. So,
but
more of an investment, essentially.
Yeah.
I would have rather had, you know, an Avengers Secret Invasion movie, because then you're getting that star power. And then we can play around with the actual premise of what heroes are Skrulls and what aren't. You know, it'd be more like Civil War, whereas, yes, it was Civil War, the movie was not Civil War, the comic, but the basic premise was still there. Heroes against heroes.
I don't know that you need a movie to have the star power, though. I mean, look at the series they've done. I mean, you've had Wanda in there, you had Vision, you had, you know, Falcon, you had Winter Soldier. You know, they've you know, Hawkeye was in there. Like, they've got star power in some of these series. I just don't know why.
That was before
this one doesn't. And somebody had said earlier that they did some budget cuts. Joe said that Disney did some budget cuts, so maybe that played a part of it as well. I don't know.
I think this was well into the final stages of being made before they started doing the cuts.
Gotcha.
Like, they've been working on this show for, like, in stages of production and pre-production since before COVID. Because I think this was announced, I think, after Endgame.
Yeah, even conceptually, like in those meetings, you know, they're talking Endgame, they're talking Age of Ultron, they're talking this, they're talking like there's Secret Wars, there's like 5 bullet points of World Avengers stuff, and this. I mean, I would assume it was one of them.
Yeah.
Here's my hope. It could have used some more seeds planted along the way, and I think that would have changed.
I totally agree with that.
My hope is that this next episode, the 5th episode that comes out this week, is either so good that it just totally turns the series around, or it's so bad that Jesse's mom turns and looks at him and says, "Jesse, I love you. I'm going to watch the last episode with you because I enjoy hanging out with you, but this series is complete shit." That's what I want. I want it to be either so good that it changes my mind, or so bad that Jesse's mom turns to him and says,
"My mom watched
terrible
all of the Willow TV series with me, so good luck."
I could not. I watched one episode and I was out. When do the Secret Invasion episodes actually drop? Because I never watched it.
Wednesday morning.
Yep.
Wednesday morning?
Yep.
3:00 Eastern time, so I guess 2 a.m. your time.
Gotcha.
2 more Wednesdays.
2 more Wednesdays.
Now, like I said, I don't think this is the greatest show. Overall, I do enjoy it. it's definitely got its problems, but I like what they're doing with the Super Scrolls. I like how they're working those different elements into it. Yes, would I love to see more of the actual like scroll shifting?
Can I ask you a question on the Super Scroll thing? I don't understand that. Is that because it looks to me like the people in Iron Man 3 where they had the whatever drug that they were taking or whatever? Is that the same thing?
It's because in I think it was the second episode where you see that room where the scientists are talking and Guy is in there. They show like on one of the computer screens she's looking at, it says something about like Extremis, Groot. There was a couple other like references to things like hinting at what powers they'll be able to have. So we've seen the Extremis, we've seen the Groot powers. I don't remember if we've seen anything else.
But didn't that Extremis like kill the people over time, or is it something where we're assuming that they've stabilized it somehow or something?
Well, I'm assuming they stabilized it because they had to cure Pepper of it.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So I imagine at some point, I'm just reading into it at that point.
If nothing else, you'd think that the Skrulls' ability to manipulate their DNA would be like they can just adapt their bodies to Extremis rather than the other way around. You know what I mean?
I thought that's what was going on, but I didn't really understand that part. I was a little confused on. So
and I agree. Like we saw the group powers. I forget who else was on the screen. Where do the healing powers come from?
That's part of the Extremis too, isn't it?
Was that just in Extremis itself?
Yeah, because remember when in Iron Man 3 when Happy plucks the leaf off the plant?
I don't remember anything from Iron Man 3.
It's a thing like he plucks the leaf off the plant, it grows back, but then it explodes because it was unstable. But then the AIM agents that are coming after them, like the chick, like it shows her like regrowing her arm because she was getting like when he's looking at like the laboratory videos, her arm regrows. She was already missing her arm before they injected her.
Didn't she get like shot with a shotgun at some point or something too? And like
it's not until like Tony like blasts her and she gets like completely barbecued on the electrical pole in town that she finally goes off. Yeah. But
I thought maybe that was our little nod that maybe they got a hold of a certain Canadian at some point. So. Because I mean and I guess that's kind of with my thing because I'm going old school Super Skrull where they stole the Fantastic Four's powers and everything. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at it like, okay, these powers, because even then they showed like Groot and a couple others on that screen. So that's my mind thinking like from their powers.
From what I've seen online, that like all four of them are very like similar to the Fantastic, like each of them kind of like hits those beats intentionally.
Yeah, I could see that. Like when he did the Groot kind of stretching his arm out, that's very Mr. Fantastic, and yeah, I could see that.
So the other powers are Groot, Extremis, the Frost Beast from Thor.
That's right.
The big thing that he fought in the beginning of the first movie that gets left on Earth in Thor 2.
Okay.
Cull Obsidian, which was the big.
That's what it was.
In Infinity War, I mean, it's supposed to be the name of the whole group, but it's the big Hulk tank guy of the Children of Thanos.
Did he have a power, or was he big?
It just shows that those were the things in. Like, I'm sure he had strength. Like, I don't know what all his powers were shown to be, but big and strong is one thing. So I'm sure we'll see someone kind of Hulk out, kind of like that, and we'll see some Frost powers.
So, and just thinking this out. So if you've got these Super Skrulls that got all these powers, and now they've got Rhodey, so they've got War Machine on their side.
No, because he doesn't use the armor.
But he doesn't use the armor. But you know what I'm saying?
He's got paperwork.
They could potentially have him in his armor plus the Super Skrulls, and Fury's just a dude.
Right.
That would mean, in order for the good guys to win, we would have to see somebody else step in, right? I mean, wouldn't we have to see like somebody show up?
I would think so, but I've learned to be disappointed.
Well, okay. I'm going to spitball with you, Curtis, since I love the play on it. Is that wouldn't it make perfect sense because this is technically kind of a big saga type of story where you maybe pull the leads of 3 other Disney Plus shows that like were okay, but like could have had a push at the end where all of a sudden these are like whether or not White Vision shows up or Hawkeye shows up, you know what I mean? And not that they're going to form their own West Coast Avengers, but that would be a pretty sick pull to kind of round out the whole thing and hit the things that it seems like people have a problem with lack of star power, lack of superheroes, and again having Nick Fury be like, I'm doing, and I don't know if you guys talked about it before I came on, but like I'm sick of hearing how cool he is. Like within this show, I've only watched the three of the 4 episodes. They mentioned how cool I'm Nick Fury and how people saying how cool he is, like at least 8 times an episode. And I'm just like, okay, that's cool. I get it. You're the cool guy. But again, that doesn't make for good writing, in my opinion. Like, just be cool.
This, I mean, to Matt's point, this could be, you know, maybe the Thunderbolts show up at the end here, you know, and
his is the stocking cap that says "bad motherfucker." So, you know,
what if this show doesn't even have an ending, Curtis? What if it's like it gets up to it and then it's like, watch the Marvels to see how it ends? Like,
taking a play off of what Jesse said, if this is going to set up Marvels. I'm not a huge Brie Larson fan, but I think that having Captain Marvel show up in this, especially since there's already a tie-in between Captain Marvel and the Skrulls, would make a lot of sense for her to come in and help out Fury towards the end of this.
Yep.
I could see that, and that would then set up the Marvels after this. I don't know. Jesse, thoughts on that? You think there's a possibility?
My thoughts are I think we're going to see Monica Rambeau because they've already had the Skrulls contact her at the end of WandaVision.
That's true.
And pointed that, you know, Nick Fury wanted to talk to her and pointed up or whatever. So I feel like she's become involved with Fury and Saber and whatever in space since the end of WandaVision.
And she was good friends. She was the little girl with this Skrull daughter, right? At the end of Captain Marvel, the first movie.
Yeah. So I think we're going to see her. If we see Carol, I think it's going to be like in the, you know, like the end, the very, very end. Because like in the trailer for the Marvels, you know, we already know that Carol and Kamala swap places at the end of the Ms. Marvel show.
Yep.
And in the trailer, we see Kamala like floating around outside the space station where I believe Monica's inside. Or something like that. So there's something about them using their powers that's causing them to switch places.
Switch spots. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll be interested to see where that plays out. That's who I think. I wouldn't be surprised if we see 1 or 2 other heroes show up in some form or fashion before the end of the show. I couldn't tell you who.
It's an interesting take. Henri says, my theory is Captain Marvel shows up, her and Rhodey were an item in the comics for a time. I did not know that.
They were fairly recently. Because they've had no room to set that up.
That won't stop them. They'll just say they did.
Well, I was going to say it would have to come with some exposition and some, you know, whatever.
So
it's possible.
Another question for you guys: is the real Rhodey dead?
No.
Or is he somewhere?
He's in one of those brain holding.
You think so? Like he's trapped there somewhere?
Yep, they've got him still.
Would that be a cool like a cool setting up of them trying to break him, like realizing he's a Skrull and them breaking him out, and then War Machine can show up?
Well, I mean, he's going to be in Armor Wars, which is coming out next year.
Yeah.
So I would assume that in that show he's not going to be a Skrull. So you would have to at some point free him.
Yep.
So yeah, maybe that happens before the end of the show. I don't know.
Yep.
We'll see.
And maybe they both get their suits on. You have War Machine on War Machine action.
That I would pay to see that. And I don't think that's
how many War Machine suits do you think there are?
You'd think you'd have to have at least a backup. I mean, it'd be irresponsible.
He did have Well, he had the Iron Patriot suit. Was that just a repaint?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, it's just been upgrades and repaints to the Mark III that he's had the whole time.
You know who I want to see, and I think
Mark
I
II?
heard rumors that he might be in Armor Wars, but I don't know for sure. I want to see Justin Hammer from Iron Man 2.
Love him.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he was one of the front, like the final front runners to be Tony Stark as that actor. What's his name?
Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell.
Yeah. He actually auditioned for Tony Stark, and they liked the feel of it, but it was very like a little bit on that sleazeball side, and so that it was one of those used them for a different spot type of things.
Okay,
that's cool. I didn't hear that.
And Curtis, the point where you don't remember Rhodey from Captain Marvel is from the post-credit scene where she shows up at the Avengers facility and asks where Nick Fury is. Like, it's him and Black Widow.
Well, so and aren't Rhodey and Captain Marvel part of that little with Rocket? There's this like cosmic sort of overseeing.
They were the ones that were reporting to Black Widow in Endgame. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they'll do to set Rhodey and Carol up is be like, hey, you remember that time I showed up at the compound and we've been writing letters?
I'm just saying for where Curtis was trying to remember seeing Rhodey not in that movie. It was just because it was that.
So he wasn't in his suit for that part, but he was only in it for like 30 seconds.
Right.
Yep.
So.
But he had access.
In every other movie he's been in.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's not that I just think story-wise at this point for Rhodey to have the suit, because even in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it seemed like he was playing more politician, like that side of things. After Endgame, I could totally see him being like, I need to step back from this.
But and what if and obviously again they should explain some of that stuff. But if wasn't he part of the Accords where he was like on the side of the government and like that bothered Falcon? But even if the Accords were squashed, like that sort of sets up Rhodey as the kind of guy that if his boss tells him he's not suiting up again, he probably would. You know what I mean? Like I guess that seems like the kind of guy he is as far as from what they're setting or the personality that they've shown him have.
Well, I think the only reason he's still in a position is because, you remember in Infinity War, Ross is telling him to arrest Cap, Black Widow, and the guys coming in.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I hope this is important because I just committed treason for you guys or whatever. So like,
True.
All right.
And I'll say this, I'll stand by this. I still think Falcon and the Winter Soldier is one of the best, let me rephrase, is my favorite of the TV shows. Not the best, but my favorite.
It's your favorite.
I think the rewrites heard it. Like Curtis,
wait a minute. Hold on. I got to call bullshit on this because I've specifically heard you say that She-Hulk was your favorite out of the series, and that came after Falcon and Winter Soldier. So I'm calling bullshit on this.
Did I say my favorite or one of my favorites?
You said that She-Hulk was your favorite, that you felt like it was something about the most where it connected to the universe or something. I don't know. You said She-Hulk was your favorite. So
every time Jesse and I have talked about this, it's always been Falcon and Winter Soldier. So
She-Hulk, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Moon Knight are my top three.
I think WandaVision was by far the best. I don't even think it's close.
I said favorite, not best.
I think it was my favorite and the best.
There you go. So I do think WandaVision is the best series they have produced so far.
They came out firing on that first one.
So that one was awesome and weird and like Oppenheimer triggered with emotional bombs. So,
and I will say, after the first two episodes, I was like, "What the fuck is this?" But
I think that goes to show. I think that goes to show, especially with a WandaVision, that and Moon Knight actually too, is that when they can use a character, and it's inside the entire story arc of the show, can be sort of secluded within the Marvel MCU all around, that they're able to just produce better content because they don't have I don't know, I haven't seen it in a while, but like I loved Moon Knight. I loved the take and the story and the twist and it being different, but it didn't seem at one point like it was hindered by the MCU in general. Yeah. And some of these other ones, I feel like there's a little bit of that hindrance where it's like, okay, well, wait a minute, we have to go here, we have to say this, and we have to do this, and when it comes down to that stuff, these newer shows, I don't think they do as much homework as those first couple shows did. Where those first couple shows, you could tell you got to watch all these MCU movies. You got to check out all of the history. Where the new ones are like, okay, well, we can mention that, but the fans won't notice this if we do this instead. And they're like, no, the fans notice. Like, they notice when you're completely missing the mark on a character or a situation or a scene because something else has been established for a decade.
All right. I'm going to call something right now. Next Friday is off week for us, right?
Correct.
The following Friday, by that time, Secret Invasion will be done.
Correct.
I vote that we do in our episode for the 28th, we rank together, we vote and rank our top series for Marvel.
Sure.
Top Marvel series. No movies, just the series. And we present our ranking for the top series voted on by us.
Sounds good.
Are you including non-Disney Plus shows as well?
No. Pay attention.
Okay.
Why not?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, because Netflix is a whole separate universe, and I've never.
Because there's Netflix, there's Inhumans, there's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
We can talk about it, but I would say throw all Marvel TV series out there.
Who of us is really going to include the Netflix and the ABC shows into that list?
I've heard a lot of people be really high on Daredevil.
Have you watched Daredevil?
Daredevil's really good. Punisher's really good.
I never got. I watched one episode of Daredevil. And
I actually liked Iron Fist, but most people fucking hated it.
I liked Iron Fist.
Yeah,
I like Iron Fist when it was called Arrow.
I didn't like Arrow when it was called Arrow.
Luke Cage was okay. Jessica Jones I didn't care for that at all.
The first 2 seasons of Agents of
Your Steve is showing, Curtis.
Oh yeah.
Well, Jessica Jones.
Jones is actually pretty good. I like that one.
It's slow. I 100% can see why you don't like it. Like, it is definitely not the type of show you would naturally go to.
I'll tell you exactly why I don't like it, because there's too much sex in it. I don't care about that in my superhero series.
Tired of all the sex on TV.
Yeah, exactly.
And now it looks
you keep falling off.
You're talking about sex on TV, and then John's screen just looked like the top of a penis head for a second.
Sean's been outside. He's got a little bit of a tan.
Because that's the number one factor that Sean ranks when he's looking at TV series. Does it have sex in it?
Hey, if I'm not getting it, somebody better, and I better be able to watch it. Fuck, man.
All right, so 2 weeks we'll give our final thoughts on Secret Invasion. We'll rank our series. Real quick, especially with Matt Rod here, what did we all think about that image of Hugh Jackman in the yellow and blue?
I wish I hadn't seen it.
Like,
really?
You didn't like it, or
because
you would have rather had it just happen?
I would just rather see it in the movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, apparently, according to rumors, there's going to be if half the rumors are true, there's going to be a lot of stuff to just see in the movie.
And I think this drop and these leaks from this set, I think it's all specifically because they want you to just be, or not you, but people to be happy that he's in comic accurate costume ish.
They're not, but people aren't happy.
No, but I'm just saying, I feel like this leak is specifically meant to do that. Where, like, for example, I'm trying to think of one that happened where maybe like at the end of Spider-Man or the end of Civil War, like, or whichever movie it was, where we like see Spider-Man for half a second, and we think like, oh, they're giving us a leak. This is an awesome leak. But then when the movie comes out, it wasn't a leak at all. Like, it was literally meant nothing. Like, where they're feeding us crumbs that people are eating up. And I definitely think it is a leak that people are happy about because, again, 10 movies? It took 10 movies in over a decade.
Okay. Let me rephrase. They're happy, but they're not as happy as they should be because he has sleeves. I personally don't care that he has sleeves, but I've heard more people complaining about the sleeves than I've seen people happy about the post.
I would prefer that it didn't have sleeves and that he had the mask, but I am overjoyed that it's not the stupid black leather and like we actually get something that resembles a comic.
This is
like I'm the kind of guy too. Like I hate every Superman costume with the exception of the Christopher Reeves one. Like all the little shiny, bubbly, whatever stuff that they put on Cavill and the Brandon Routh and stuff. Like I hate that. You know,
the little textures.
Yeah, I hate that.
Well,
I want a old school blue and red. Give me Superman and the
The Brandon Routh one blew my mind for the fact that they said the whole thing was diamonds patterned on there, so it would create a texture. But then the part that made me literally want to just cuss out Bryan Singer to his face for eternity was he had literally S shields on his shoes, on the soles of the shoes, and on the back of the shoes. So then it's all of a sudden, what is this? He's Nike? He's Adidas? Like he has time to do this when there's
Spaceballs, the shoes.
I was literally, when I found that out, and they didn't show it in the movie, but there was this one shot I remember, it got close. And my one buddy was like, "Hey, Sean, there's the shoes." And I turned into like Jesse dealing with the X-Men movies where I wanted to literally like turn into an atomic bomb and blow up the cinema on that point. But when I found that all that stuff out and I actually saw the shoes like online, somebody was like, "Oh, here's the costume." And I was like, fuck you so hard, Bryan Singer. Like, this is your, like, thank you for your contribution. Get the fuck out. You know, I mean, seriously.
Just soups it.
Yeah. I am going to avidly try to avoid all trailers, spoilers, everything I can. But I did think the suit looked cool. I think it was cool just to see that image. So,
what was one thing that was lacking from his legacy as the Wolverine. So.
And that's when it comes to Hollywood and these movies, it's baffles my mind that it took Ryan Reynolds, and I mean, obviously it's a wonderful story, him making Deadpool and all of the stuff that he's done to get to where he is with this franchise. But it just baffles my mind that it's like same thing with the TV show Generation X and same thing with the TV show Gotham and all this stuff where they keep not doing it right because they don't want to like be they don't want to be tied down to doing it a certain way or with certain actors. So they're like, oh, well, we don't want to be tied down because we don't know what the future of the X-Men holds. So we're going to make a show called Generation X and do the pilot and like try to have a fake Cyclops and try to have a fake and then just it turns into garbage. It's like it's just super annoying that they just won't commit to like what they have. And it took somebody like Ryan Reynolds as like, no, people like this character. If we do the character like people like it's in the comic books, people like when you stay true to character instead of Bryan Singer where it's like, oh, well, people aren't going to like that. And the Matrix is really cool now. So like, what if we just try to make it, what if we make superheroes cool? And I've heard this before where some of the higher ups, I forget the guy's name, but Jeff Johns, maybe one of them is like, well, we don't know if we should do Martian Manhunter because that's a stupid name. And like, that's like, and like, if you have somebody in charge of your property and they outright like say that they just don't like names or characters that like they're heavily involved in, like that's just disaster waiting to happen. And it's just stupid that it takes a random Canadian comedian guy to be like, no, like let's just do this and make this character and people will enjoy it.
But they weren't going to make the movie either. Like the first Deadpool movie was not going to come out until he leaked that stuff and people
the fake trailer he made.
Yeah.
Which is incredible to think about because it just shows that the fans Like, if you are authentic and you do something and you make something and you're 100% behind it and it's not just a paycheck, those types of stories and movies, they rise to the top. They just do. Like, there are thousands of people that are Deadpool fans that never were. They just saw a movie and saw how real and authentic and fun it was. And like me, I'm not a huge guy that likes to cuss. Like, I mean, I cuss, but like, I'm not like a lot of the Deadpool stuff. Like, it's not my flavor, but I genuinely laugh and smile when I see that movie and I see Colossus and Juggernaut. It took him to give me Colossus versus Juggernaut. That's what it took. That blows my mind because Colossus versus Juggernaut, that's one fight scene that I've been waiting for 30 years. Like,
yep.
And I loved it.
Agreed. All right.
I'll say this. I do wish I hadn't seen the costume, but I do think it looks great. Like, my mind's swirling about what the story's going to be. I know people are speculating that it's going to be, Deadpool takes out the Fox universe, which makes me hope that this version of Wolverine isn't the Wolverine from the movies we've seen. I hope it's like another alternate variant of him, so he can see what a whiny bitch he is over Jean in that universe.
Yes.
I want to play something real quick, just based on what Matt just said about the Martian Manhunter and Jeff Johns. So, give me 1 second.
I don't know if that was the guy or not. If it wasn't,
you're fine. You're fine because it made me think of this.
Okay. Yeah.
We can do our version of it. It'll still be He-Man, and you just won't be Goofy.
That is William Stout saying that he didn't want He-Man to look like the toy because He-Man looks goofy.
Yep.
This is everything that I hate about the 87 movie. When you had a guy making it that disrespected the property so much that he felt like He-Man that we loved as kids, the movie that we wanted for He-Man, he thought that the original design looked goofy and that it had to change. And this is everything that you're talking about, that now we've got to take X-Men and make it look like the Matrix, or we got to do this and that. You did not have to fuck up He-Man. You could have taken the original designs, the Mark Taylor designs on Eternia, made an amazing movie, but instead you tried to do this other bullshit with it. And that's the part that kills me, is that when these properties that we love, they put people in charge of it that don't have a love for the source material,
Yeah.
Well, I'm not trying to go to bat for that mentality, but I will say you're talking about a movie that was made in 86, 87, maybe even 85, and there's no nostalgic connection for the people making that movie to invest into it in that same way. So they're hoping they don't lose their shirts making this movie. And that's kind of why when I saw it as a kid, I didn't have that in the back of my head. But when I saw it as a kid, I just kind of rolled with it because I'm like, look, at least it's a He-Man movie.
Right. But that's exactly what you said. At least it's a He-Man movie. But it wasn't the He-Man movie that we as kids wanted, because they weren't making it for us. They weren't making the movie that kids wanted to see. They were making something that they thought that other people would want to see. And it ended up, being a flop. So
no, again, the history on that, like if it could have been in theaters just a little bit longer, it might have actually been better.
So all they needed was
it wouldn't have been as big of a flop.
Take the 87 movie, what they did with that, and compare that to TMNT that they did, the first Turtles movie, or compare it to the Transformers cartoon that we got. Total night and day, right? Like they did those properties justice in those movies. The 87 movie, I think, was a total disaster. I love it for what it is. I love that we actually got a He-Man movie, and I will always appreciate that part of it. But the fact that you had a guy running it that cared nothing about the source material just eats at me.
Well,
totally. I will say, just counterpoint, as when did the first Turtles movie actually come out? 90. Yeah, so as a 5-year-old,
Three years later,
who was loving the Turtles cartoon, it took me a long time to warm up to the first Turtles movie, because that is a movie I went into. Well, it wasn't theater; I saw it on video, but I watched it going, "What is this? This isn't my Turtles," you know. So,
Dude,
I mean,
as soon as Raph is walking through the sewers and he says "damn" out loud, my little kid heart was like, he's so cool, he swore.
But I also love the E07 movie.
I felt like
saying, like, you can play that perspective from lots of different points, like depending on who you were and what you saw before the movies came out.
I don't know how you could have taken that property and made it a live action version and had it more like what the cartoon was, or more like what the property was that we grew up with. Like the personalities were there, the you know, like the vocabulary was there.
Though,
go ahead.
I never read them, but the original Turtle comics.
Yeah.
Well, yes, and we're not talking about that. That's nerd shit.
No, we are. That's what the movie's based on. That's why I felt that disconnect.
That's about to fit your perspective.
That's nerd shit.
Here we go.
You've got the He-Man mini comics and then the Filmation stuff, right?
Yep.
The movie didn't reflect either of those.
Right.
It didn't reflect anything He-Man at that point. But go, yeah.
That's what I was counting those as everything He-Man.
He literally just said that.
Well, you had the mini comics, you had DC comics, you had Filmation, you had the toys. It didn't reflect any of that stuff. But go ahead.
Okay, so I'm sorry I didn't get my Wikipedia out.
You guys literally just agreed in the most non-agreeable way.
For Turtles, you had the original comics, and then you had the cartoon series, and the cartoon series is
and the toy line.
Oh my god! And the toy line, and whatever else that I'm not remembering. So you know, between the original comic and the literal next iteration is night and day difference. The toys and the cartoon were made for a kid audience, where the original comic was not.
Right.
Okay.
And the cartoon or the movie merges some of that gap between the two. So it's a little bit of the comic and a little bit of the cartoon. Whereas like the 87 He-Man is just, we're calling it He-Man. Stuff has names and elements of He-Man, but that's it.
Yeah, but I agree with what you're saying, but I would throw out there that I would say more people probably knew of the Turtles from the cartoon and the toys than the comic. I think that the people that were introduced to the Turtles via the comic is probably a much smaller percentage than people that were introduced by the cartoon or the toys.
And they're super loud, just like the Motu mini comic fans, that they act like there's a million of them, and I'm like, there's not as many as, I don't know. I love the mini comics, Motu, and I love the Turtle comics too, but both of those fan bases, like when they start being loud about this is the original, it's the goddess, He-Man's a part of a tribe, and I'm just like, that's cool, but you don't gotta be super loud about it like you're the only right one. Like I think that's what's cool about all these properties.
I love that they changed the colors of the Turtles. I don't like them all with the same bandanas and stuff. I think that was a dumb idea.
That was the cartoon.
Yeah,
and that differentiates so kids could understand which turtle they like. I mean, they didn't even have the initials on the belt buckles until the cartoon too. But I mean, like when they made the Turtles movie, for instance, what did they have to draw on? They basically had the comic books for the most part, because the cartoon was just getting out around the same time they're probably getting into production with the movie.
I'm not.
So
I don't know when did the Turtles series start.
87,
80,
if I remember right, 88 maybe. And then the movie came out 2 years later, and depending on when your production timeline is, it might have overlapped that obviously at some point. But I mean, they took the colored bandanas, they took the love of pizza, they took a little bit more of the slapstick stuff, because I mean, like, while I watch that movie today, I mean, the amount of Donnie and Mikey going back and forth with each other during every battle was really for the kids that love the cartoon more than in the comics. They were never quite to that extent.
Did they have some of the same voices in the movie as they did the cartoon?
No.
Really? I felt like a couple of them might have been the same. Okay.
No, the one that sounds the closest would have been Leonardo for me, and that was Cam Clark on the TV show, and he was not Leonardo in the movie.
Well, I knew Feldman was the Donatello. I thought he did the cartoon Donatello too, but maybe not.
And Rob Paulson was Raph, and the guy that played him in the suit, Josh Pius, was the voice for Raph. He was the only one that got to do both.
Oh, really?
Because everybody else, it was somebody was in the suit, and then there was someone else doing.
I figured that they were all like stunt guys in the suits, and then somebody else doing the voices. I didn't realize that one person did both.
Yeah, because Ernie Reyes Jr., who's he's Keno in the second movie. He was Donatello in the first one for like the stunts and things. Yeah.
Yep. Gotcha. Wolverine looks cool, and I think he's going to have the mask. I think he will have it at some point in the movie.
Yeah.
So,
wasn't there a movie? There was one of the X-Men movies or something where he like opened up a case at the end.
It was a deleted scene in the Wolverine. Yeah.
Gotcha. And did that have the mask, or was it just the suit?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
As much as I love the suit, seeing like that mask, I've seen very few cosplayers pull it off to where that mask looks cool in person. It looks awesome in comics.
Yeah.
It looks ridiculous in real life. So I mean,
I'm
okay if they only have it on for like a scene or two.
If they keep it tight, and I would prefer the method of where it's part of the front face, part of the mask, but I don't need it to connect to anything past here. Like I like that just being like, the skull cap style. I've seen it where it like comes out and then it goes back on the back side of the head, where those can look pretty goofy, I think. But yeah, with that briefcase thing, and then I think it was at the end of not Days of Future Past, maybe second Dark Phoenix, one of them, they like have the danger room. They literally spent at least $100,000 on making suits for all of those X-Men characters for like the last 2 seconds of that one movie. And I'm just like, yeah, thanks for saying F you to everyone. And then never do anything with that.
That's the franchise. Like for me, like that's the franchise that it was always the middle finger, because they always Bryan Singer he cherry picked the idea of the ones he wanted in there. None of them really made sense other than Wolverine and Professor X, but everybody else was just like set dressing for the most part, except for Jean, because Jean, it's got to be about her and all that stuff. And I haven't rewatched those movies in years, but if I do, I'm probably going to turn into Jesse and lose my freaking mind, because I'm just tired of that being what the fans know. And like my wife, she's like, I love those movies. And I'm like, I can't watch them. I can't, because I know the stuff that it's based on is better. It's just that simple.
And the fact that they decided to turn around the franchise and started going in a wonderful direction with First Class. And then what happens immediately after that? Bryan Singer takes a step back in. Well, as far as Jesse, and I'd say you cringed a little bit, but I'd say direction as far as a focal, like it actually like First Class, like felt like they wanted to do something specific with the world of X-Men, and it's something that was fresh and new. And then Singer stepped back in because he wanted his vision for it and to go down the path of, all the trash.
Well, it was almost the equivalent of the Snyderverse BS that's going on. If Singer wasn't involved, then people would be, well, what would his take be on? How the hell would we know? The guy doesn't even know this stuff. He didn't like comic books on the set. Well, Hugh Jackman has been in interviews saying they snuck him comics so that they get Wolverine right, but he didn't allow anything on the set. Yeah, and it's like they didn't allow anything on the set to let anyone else have information of what this was about, and it was just strictly stick to the script. And it's like it
who
wasn't
did
a good
Jesse?
script to begin with.
Feige. He was
That was
he
the
was low.
beginnings
He was a
where we
lot
are-
lower, but he was involved even back to the first X-Men. He's the one that gave Hugh Jackman, because Hugh Jackman thought he was a mutated wolf. Because like if you've seen him talk about his like original auditions, he like studied like wolf like nature documentaries for weeks. So he was doing this sniffing and all this stuff. That's why he had such a weird thing. And they're like,
And
okay,
that-
yeah, let's run it. You know, yeah.
That's why Russell Crowe turned it down. He thought he was going to have to be like a wolf or something too. And then he finds out, oh, it's this whole different thing. And then he's like, you know, I passed that up. Maybe I shouldn't have done that, you know?
I hadn't heard that. That's funny.
Yeah, because he was the original guy. They wanted Russell Crowe, and then like Hugh Jackman wasn't even a name before that movie. Nobody
I
knew
think
who that guy
who was the second? Who was the second choice? Was that other guy? Is it Doug Ray Scott? Because
Doug
I
Ray
see
Scott, yeah.
in there's a couple flashes of his face and his scowl in that Mission Impossible movie where I was like, I could have seen this work.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a good actor in the couple things I've seen him in. I think he would have. I love Hugh Jackman, but I think Doug Ray Scott would have done great.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that First Class was a good reset for X-Men. I really enjoyed the movie. I wish they would have continued to go down that path. I think they leaned too heavily, you know, with that movie and then the next one on Jennifer Lawrence, and then, you know, tried to make too much about her because they felt like she was the draw. And then you started pulling everything back from the old X-Men stuff into it, and it just got convoluted and stupid. I wish that they would have just kind of gone down that path with that First Class cast that they had.
And jumping through each of those subsequent movies just being like we're going to encapsulate the entire 60s in this movie, which the first one didn't do. It got a moment in time. I mean, I'm sure there was some stuff I didn't live through 60, I know, but I feel like Days of Future Past, and whatever two garbage ass ones they put out after that.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, this is the 80s one. Oh, this is the 90s one. So let's like jam every stereotype, like reference, pop culture reference to those time periods. Like when they show the kids walking through the school in the 80s one, the Apocalypse one, like that stuff didn't exist all at the same time. It's like watching the Goldbergs. As much as I love that show, like the juxtaposition of like the Reebok pump being out at the same time as E.T. was just garbage. Like, come on. Like,
well, and yeah, you've seen the meme where it's like what media says the 80s look like, and it's like the neon walls and like the angles, but then it shows like all of our living rooms were like it was just that brown wood paneling and like everything,
like brass picture frames nailed to the wall.
Yeah.
I tell you guys my Reebok pump story.
Oh God.
Huh? Have you heard this?
Does it involve pistachios or poo?
No.
All over.
So like that was, I mean, back in the day, like that was the coolest. Like when there was one school year where like my parents gave us, I think it was like $120 or something every school year that was like our entire clothes shopping. Like they would give us the money, we would go to the store and buy all our clothes. And I spent all my money the one year on shoes. So I had to like use all my same pants, shirts, underwear, everything else from the year before, but I got those Reebok pumps. And this probably like 2 or 3 years ago, I heard that they were coming back out with them, like that they were doing a new Reebok pump thing or whatever. And I was excited. I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna go get me some Reebok pumps, and you know, kind of nostalgic kind of thing. and I walk into, there's this like outlet mall around here, and there's a Reebok one, and I walk in. I'm looking around, I can't find them anywhere and stuff. And so I asked the sales clerk there, she's probably, I don't know, 18, 19. And I said, do you guys have the Reebok pumps that you carry here? I'm looking for those. And she goes, like high heels?
Yes.
Like first of all, so then I had to break this down in my head. And I just like stared at her for a second. I'm like, you work at Reebok. This is the most popular shoe you've ever carried in the history of the company that you work for. And not only have you never heard of it, right? But you also look at me, a really big dude, and think that I'm there to buy high heels. like those were the, like, in her head, the first thing that popped in was, this guy's looking for some high heels.
Nice.
Hey, no, good for her. She made no assumptions about you or your purchasing habits.
Yep.
And did not just automatically
That's
assume you were
progressive.
looking, you know, good for her.
Yeah, her first thought was, I'm not going to judge.
Yeah.
If you want some
whatever.
bumps, honey, get some bumps.
Exactly. I was like, man, kids. I didn't even say anything. I stared at her for like a minute, and then I just turned around and walked out. Like that.
And this is why we buy everything online now.
Dude, did you hear the reasoning why, or what people are saying why Wolverine has sleeves?
No.
I guess somebody was saying something about his Hugh's skin cancer over the past handful of years. I know he dealt with a bunch of nose skin cancer stuff a few years back with The Greatest Showman, and there's behind the scenes stuff with him covering his nose. But that's what I had heard. I think personally it's a special effects thing. I think that it's just much easier to do with special effects. But honestly, those are the two things that I'd heard.
I didn't even notice, like, well, obviously I noticed he had sleeves, but it wasn't like it never even registered in my mind. I'm just like, oh, that suit looks great. This is what he should have been in since the second X-Men on. Because it made sense in the first X-Men, like, Wolverine just joins up, everything kind of happens real quick, and he's just throwing on an extra suit. But from the second movie on, he should have been, you know, in the yellow and blue, going to the brown, and as a kid, going to, you know.
As a kid, you're like, oh, that's funny, they mentioned yellow and blue. But now looking back at it, it's like, oh, Bryan Singer saying is like, you guys are stupid for liking that. Like, that's all the line means. Like, because he says, would you rather like yellow and blue?
Well, at the time, I'm going like, okay, next movie, he's going to be in yellow and blue. Like, they're setting it up. But yeah, it was just a, fuck you, kid.
I'll be honest, with the leak photo, I didn't even notice the sleeves. And then when somebody pointed it out, I was like, okay. Like,
that's what I mean. Cool. It never registered.
Like, it looks cool. And his arms look fucking swole as shit. Like, he looks jacked.
I just Googled pictures, Hugh Jackman Beach 2023. There's pictures of him from this year at the beach, and he's not high. I think that's just people
hiding anything.
I 100% agree. I think it's for special effects, you know, for CG recreation. Keep the whole suit as monotone, like, or not monotone, but like consistent colors instead of if you have to recreate the yellow and blue. It's easier than red, blue.
You see the shoulder, some of those angles of the shoulder pad. Like, it's actually like off, like it like looks like it's cool that they actually make it look intentional as far as the shoulder pad being off of the arm and not just kind of like a lacrosse shoulder pad that's touching the arm the whole way.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I was going to save it for a Have You Ever, but since we're talking about Hugh Jackman, have you guys ever seen Kate and Leopold?
Yep.
Yes.
But yeah.
Good movie.
Love that movie. Oh, he's so good in that.
Some young Hugh in that one.
Yeah, I just love the whole man out of time thing, and you know, he plays it very
sing, well. And that was our first he can sing moment. I mean, no, obviously he had Greatest Showman later, but
yeah.
What do you mean? You never say you saw him in Oklahoma before all the movies?
Nope.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of him. I'm a fan of Wolverine.
He did that robot movie too. That was really good. The
Real Steel.
That's a good one too.
I never saw that.
That's a killer.
Yeah,
that's a good movie.
Yep.
I know a lot of people don't like it, but I like Chappie. He plays an absolute douchebag in that movie.
It's got a lot of heart. It's kind of like, it reminds me of Over the Top, but better.
yeah. Much better.
But again, that's the way you guys like that movie. And I've seen clips of it. I haven't seen the whole movie, but again, if a movie is true to itself and isn't trying to be something that it's not. Like if the producers, the writers, and the directors, they're all like, we're making a movie about fighting robots. We're going to buy into it and the idea of it. And you don't sense any like reservations of that when watching it. You get sucked in. Like there's a, did you guys see the most recent superhero movie with Stallone? It's on Amazon.
Yeah. Shit.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called.
This, but
like
it,
Protector or something like that.
Protector, Survivor. But yeah, it just
I think
Sentinel.
Samaritan.
Samaritan.
Samaritan, yeah. But so I sat down with my kid, and my kid hates movies. Doesn't want to go to the theater with us. Doesn't want to. And like he just something about this movie. He just sat down next to me, and he just starts literally like I'm watching him watch the movie.
Same thing here. My son never watches those movies. He was like enthralled.
There was just something so 90s, like hype. But like it is what it is. It doesn't matter that it's kind of corny and silly, but like you just buy into it. And my kid, freaking 14-year-old kid, just loves it. And I'm like, holy crap! Like there's something about Stallone and like I don't know. There's something about that movie that just really hits that. Make sure the people involved in what you're making buy into it from top to bottom.
He's got that Paramount series where he's the gangster and fucking what is it? It's the new one that he's doing. They've only got one season so far.
Tulsa King.
Tulsa King. Dude, I love that series. It is so good. It's man, seeing Stallone play a gangster. And not like the old timey gangster because I tell you what, Oscar's
freaking great.
Oh, so good. So good. Oh, I love some Stallone. But
have you seen Stallone movie? He's a cop and he's trying to out bad cops and then he loses his hearing like in the last gun battle. Came out.
Land?
Yes.
What is
that's
it?
Where he put on all the weight.
Really good movie.
Oh yeah,
good movie.
Yep.
I very much enjoyed that movie.
I think my favorite Stallone movie still though is Tango and Cash. Like that's just so 80s. Like
Copland, James Mangold, director of Logan and
310 to Yuma.
What did I just watch last week?
We don't know.
Elizabethtown?
No, new movie just came out. Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway,
all right.
I never saw Tango and Cash.
Cool.
I think that's a show.
It feels like a show.
Thank you to Matt Rod for jumping in since he cannot stand to be out hosted by any other guest host. So now him and Pete are, neck and neck still. So
we appreciate him appreciating our passion.
Yeah.
I loved it. I need to see more of it.
Do us a favor right now. Hit all those buttons down below: the like, the share, the subscribe. Spread the word. Let's get these subscriber counts going. Bye, Curtis.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button
Curtis.
Down below.
Spread us around like your favorite STD.
We appreciate it. Episode 8 will be on July 28th at 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm sure Curtis has another off week cooked up for next week, the 21st, as he always does. Anything else, boys?
I really like that other I like this logo that I'm seeing on the screen, but I like your other one too. There's a cool like kind of this W-ish like OW.
Yeah, we use that.
I've been waiting for someone to replace this. This was just my temporary one, and no one's switched it yet. So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it's pretty cool.
I'm waiting for somebody to replace this background because it's kind of the.
Wow, man.
Maybe you guys should talk about this stuff after the live ends.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Be good. Read Action Comics 800. We'll see y'all later.